Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, where we cover the Indoor Football League, the National Arena League, the Arena Football One, the Arena League, American Arena League, and so much more. It seems like there's always a league popping up that we have to cover here. So without further ado, we're going to play a quick intro video and then we'll get right into the topics today. There's lots to talk about, including new team in Nebraska, Talia is back with Orlando, and maybe even a coaching change with the Dallas Bulls. All right, before we get to all the topics today, how are you guys doing this morning? Let's go to TJ first on this one.
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Would have been better if the Eagles won yesterday, but hey.
You and me both, brother. The Eagles are all of a sudden slipping. Let Dallas come back from a 3 or 4 game gap, and now all of a sudden they're knocking on the doorstep here again. So we'll see how things go. Coach B, how are you doing this morning?
I'm loving America's team right now. We on the run. Dak's looking good. Pickens is probably the best wide receiver in the league. If we get CD to really step up and quit dropping balls, we'll be unstoppable. Defense is clicking, so Coach B is happy this weekend. I'm very thankful for the holidays.
Love it. A lesser version of myself would make a comment about CD Lamb today, but we'll hold that for NFC Beast. If you like to talk about the NFC East, you can always catch us on Saturday evenings discussing that division and in general. Krish, how are you doing this morning, man?
Good, it's a great morning to be a Orlando Pirate. I got my T-shirt right here. It's good to rock it, and we made a couple of good moves, bring back some good pieces on the D line. So excited about that for sure.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of news to talk about. Like I said in the lead up, I mean, we've got coaching changes on the NAL. We've got coaching additions in the AAL. Some pretty big moves when it comes to players being signed by actually multiple leagues, which we'll get to here shortly. And then we also have the latest news that Grand Island, Nebraska will be getting another indoor football team, this time with the Arena League. That was the big announcement last night, which seemed kind of crazy when they put it out timing wise. But let's kind of go around the horn here. What do you guys think about Grand Island, Nebraska getting another team? I believe the last team they had there, don't quote me on this, but they were the Nebraska Danger, actually coached by
The
our
danger.
good buddy Mike
Mike
Davis at one
Davis.
point. So definitely interesting move. Let's go to Coach Henderson first. What do you think about the TAL going back to Nebraska?
I think it's a great move, honestly. Grand Island's always had a rich tradition there. Only thing is, whatever organization go in there, you can't lose. They known for winning there. The city supports it. The last ownership group, he was like Mr. Nebraska with Bosselman Group. So I hope they got that group back involved because he owns like half of the Grand Islands, the gas stations, the grocery stores, all those places. So I know he will make sure it's ran right and done everything. I really thought they were going to use that market and bring back an IFL team at one point, but the TAL is seems like they moving in the right direction. Now they got one more team to announce, and I'm thinking it has to be somewhere in the Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois area. It only makes sense geographically.
I could see that. I could certainly see them revisiting Minnesota and bringing in another team there if they can find some sort of ownership group to step in. TJ, what are your thoughts on Grand Island, Nebraska?
I like it. I miss the Danger. They were always a fun team to watch. They always seem to have a good following. And I mean, in terms of speaking football economics, Nebraska, they're kind of back into, I guess you can say, the peak of football interest now that the Cornhuskers aren't just terrible anymore. They kind of had resurgence this year. So I think overall it's a pretty good time for them to bring back a team to that area. And honestly, I'm kind of with Coach B. You know, for a little while, the IFL, there were rumors that they were going to go back, but like he said, I guess the TAL beat them to it.
Krish, I want to pose another question to you. That was actually brought up in our group chat last night, and that's the potential of an eventual merger with the NAL, due to the footprint of the league and some of the teams and locations they have. But also, what are your thoughts on Nebraska? Getting another team in Grand Island.
Yeah, a close friend of mine who played for us, and he played for Grand Island for numerous years. He was really excited about this news. He lives out in Nebraska, and it's a great move. Great community. They had a ton of sponsorships. Our good friend Coach Davis was the head coach back then. He more winningest coach in Danger history, 44-42. So, he made the playoffs every year. So I think it's a big deal. To bring back that legacy. I would say, my opinion about them beating out the IFL. I mean, they're like their model is very cost effective, right? Because they don't play with nets, they don't have all the extra extra stuff, and I hope it works out for them. In terms of the merger, I mean, there's certain like Eau Claire. I don't think Eau Claire would be able to afford playing the NAL, right? But like Arkansas, Ozarks, there's certain teams that in the footprint, like I think the TAL would have to drop some members for sure. Yeah.
I could definitely see a situation where they have to, cut some of the fat, so to speak, in order for the merger to work. We know that Jeff Holmes, the owner of the Iowa Woo, kind of oversees and financially backs a lot of the teams currently. And so I would imagine at that point, he'd probably have to, cut out the teams that are also league owned around the Woo. But it should be an interesting facet to watch for the TAL coming up here soon. And as Coach B said, there should be one more team coming, so it'll be really interesting to find out what market they tap for that. A couple comments I wanted to get to here, in particular, Mike Davis tuning in. And I just can't get into the playing style for TAL. Watch again this upcoming season and give it another chance. It's definitely an acquired taste. I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch a ton of games the first season it came around. The second season, I got way more into it. It's pretty exciting. It's just a different brand of football. TAL just fits that market better in 2026. I don't think Nebraska works for current state of IFL. Let's be real clear about something. If the IFL had an ownership group that they were confident in and was ready to come back in 2026, they would probably already be back in Grand Island, Nebraska. So there's probably a good reason why they're not there, and I would guess that it has to do with the fact that they do not have a sustainable ownership group there currently. I could be wrong, but that would be my hunch. Sorry, guys, it's going to be a train wreck. The Bolzmann family that had the danger is the main reason it was successful. That's coming straight from one of the men who used to coach the team. He also said IFL was never going back to Grand Island. Should combine with AAL instead. AAL is trying to keep a very focused platform on the Eastern Coast, and I think they're going to be focusing primarily on East Coast teams in order to kind of focus on that area. But looks like we're going right back at the crazy comments from last week, so that's always fun. Couple other pieces of news from the TAL in particular. Well, actually, before we get to that, what are your guys' thoughts on a potential merger with the National Arena League for TAL? Let's go to TJ on this one.
Sorry, can you repeat that? My computer's lagged.
You're good. Just what are your thoughts on a potential eventual merge between the TAL and NAL footprint wise?
I think it would. I think it would. I think it would make the most sense out of all the current leagues, in my opinion. The the TAL and NAL, that would make the best. That would make the best sense. The only problem is, it's I see I see any kind of merger more as probably like Minnesota did, like individual teams going. I don't really see the TAL as a whole league merging, especially with how their popularity is starting to really gain some traction. So I could see teams going individually, like one at a time, or maybe in pairs, depending on how much the interest for the individual owners and teams are. But I I don't really see the entire league merging with another league, but it would be the NAL if that unlikely possibility happened, in my opinion.
Okay, makes sense. And just a kind of a carryover question on to what you just said right there. Is it sustainable for the TAL to keep losing 1 to 2 teams every year to other leagues? I mean, are they going to be able to continue in that manner for years to come, or is it this something where we're kind of watching the slow process of the disassembly of the TAL long term?
I mean, to be fair, every league loses an average of 1 to 2 teams a year, so it'll pretty much just put them into the same realm as every other league, which is all right. We have the core leagues or the core teams from last year. Let's gain interest and gain another team or two to make up for it, and like that. So I don't really see it as dismantling the TAL. I kind of see that as just the average league's growing pains in the sport.
That's a good point. That's a good point. There's a good question right here. Wonder how the team player budget compare NAL versus TAL. Coach B, I feel like you're uniquely equipped to answer this question for us.
Team player budget is darn near the same. NAL is just a slight bit higher, but it's nothing that I don't think owners could adjust to and it can make happen. I feel like you said, if any way it was to be a merger, it would be with the NAL, but we'll be down the line at least like two to 4 years down the line, just in case the TAL don't start evolving like we think it is. But I think it's on the way. If it keeps going with the model it's doing, it can evolve to something bigger. The streaming has always been good. If you watch the numbers, it's been up there top three out of all leads in streaming. So I think it can do something. And to the one part of the question you asked, I do think teams are going to still go. Some teams are enticed for that bigger lead. They grow, they use TAL as a stepping stone to build their foundation and then go somewhere else. And to prevent that, I think it will only be smart to merge with the NAL. That way, you're not losing teams and you don't have to compete no more. Only thing I've heard from a lot of coaches around the TAL, they love their style of football better. It's more entertaining than 8 man. So it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to adapt to the 8 man unless you've actually coached or played that style.
Alrighty, I mean, wouldn't have expected that answer, but to each their own when it comes to that.
If I was Nebraska, I would go out and this is a thought I had. I would hire Adam Loftus from Omaha. I think that would be a great move. He's familiar with the area. He coached in the area. He's coached high school ball there currently. That would be a great hire for them. So go hire Adam Loftus.
Not a,
What Adam want that job though? He's more of an 8 man style, and he loves
It's a
Omaha. So
head
you're gonna
coaching
have,
job. He should be a head coach already, in my
but
opinion. So
they're gonna have to pay him to leave Ricky because Ricky gonna pay him to stay.
yeah, I could see both scenarios unfolding, but I think the logic is definitely there in terms of the way they want to hire coaches. Obviously, as we all know, they kind of lean toward the local coaches for all these teams. So, I mean, that would be one way to grab somebody that is experienced as a coordinator. They did that recently with a couple different coaches that had previous coordinator experience, bring them in and have them as a head coach. So that's definitely, I don't think out of the question per se. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, you have to have a pretty sweet deal coming your way to leave Omaha in general. Although we do know that their budget isn't the craziest. The amenities seem to be pretty solid. Mike Davis says TAL budget for the year is 300,000. That includes everything. Yeah, I mean that's a little off of the NAL mark, about 200,000 give or take, depending on the team. I was just mentioning it being such a small market versus the national footprint of what the IFL evolved into. And that's completely fair, Wookie. I honestly think that's a pretty good point. It's not really a fit like it used to be. But as always, reminder, hit the like button if you're watching. That certainly helps us push this out to new viewers. And right now we've got a pretty paltry crowd. So definitely hit that share button, hit the like button, help us get this out to new users or new viewers. But the other big piece of TAL information this week was Jim Britton was announced as the head coach for the Eau Claire Axemen. And then there's also was a recent podcast that came out via Eau Claire Hometown Media. And I wanted to kind of get into this in particular with you guys. And I'll just go ahead and read some of the comments that he made during the podcast, and then I'll get your guys' thoughts and feelings about this. But according to the host of the show, again, this is on Eau Claire Hometown Media on Spotify. I listened to the whole podcast. I will say everything I'm about to say comes with a grain of salt, because it definitely sounds like this guy has an axe to grind toward the Eau Claire team. It sounds like he was kind of done wrong a little bit. Maybe his kid was involved and his kid was done wrong a little bit. And because of that, his opinion's kind of jaded, but it doesn't change the facts that he's putting forth that are a little interesting to hear. So according to this podcast host, the initial owner backed out almost immediately after agreeing to buy in last season. He goes on to mention the league and the arena did very little to help out the second owners that came in, and eventually even said that the league threw the owners under the bus and said they were out, but the owners never actually left the team. He goes on to say they didn't leave the team until after the season, and which was always going to happen the way they had been treated. But as of right now, the team only essentially exists in theory outside of the coaching hiring. There is no owner in place. There aren't really any sponsors in place. And up until the hiring of Jim Britton, there was no staff or roster in place. So this in particular, I felt was like some interesting comments, especially with the ownership group. The way they handled it, watching the initial owner back out, bringing in a second owner, not really treating them the way you would want to treat an ownership group. It seems sloppy at best, but I wanted to get your guys' opinions on this whole situation, and we'll go to Coach B first on this one. What are your thoughts on all of this, and what is your insight into Eau Claire from what you know?
I don't disagree with the thoughts or the comments, honestly. I know it's been a bad situation up there. They've been trying to tell us little by little up there. I noticed you noticed the game last year at the end of the season versus the Goats. It wasn't streamed because we had difficulties. They didn't have uniforms to play in, so they had to borrow another team's uniforms to play in. So it's been pretty bad up there. The coaching hire, I think that was just a move just because he's local. He's around. I don't think the guy knows anything about arena football. He was helping out the staff. From what I got from Tay, he was never officially on the staff. He just was helping around because he was from the city and wanted to be a part of it. So I think this is just a move to make people quiet. I don't know about the ownership group up there. I have heard very little about the ownership group up there. I know the league owns part of it or owns majority of the team still. If they do have another ownership group in, they have not been working hard. So it's just to see where that goes. Like you got these. That's the only thing I hate about the TAL because I love the league and the motto is going to, but putting teams in places where you don't have an ownership in place already is crazy to me because now you got to go work double time to find the ownership group to take over or the leads in charge of all of everything for that season. And I don't think they can operate like that continually going on.
It's certainly a unique business model to put teams in a market and then try and find ownership groups. I've always found that kind of interesting. And in one way, it's a good thing. You give the infrastructure of a team to a potential owner and kind of make it a little bit easier for them to get involved. But, it's a unique approach. At the very least, you can say there are only a handful of owners that are already out there just waiting to jump into ownership. So they seem to have had success with it so far. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's hard to sustain a situation like that where you're owning multiple teams per year. But
I
Krish, what are
think
your thoughts? Or sorry,
Sam,
go ahead,
Sam,
Coach.
I think if the lead is gonna use that model, then you as a league, go in, put the teams in the market. You buy the turf for the team in the dashers. That way, whatever owner takes over, he just got to do whatever else left to make it run, get sponsors, buy equipment and uniforms. But you make sure it's a foundation laid down if you're gonna do it that way, and make it enticing for owners to come in and want to be a part of your program. That way, they know things are gonna be ran right. You got all the proper stuff. Because I'm not gonna lie, some of the arenas that the TAL play in, fields are not full size fields.
That's not entirely surprising. Some of these arenas are very small. Chris, what are your thoughts on the Eau Claire situation in general, the head coach hiring, all of it?
I mean, let me just put this in perspective for a second. Last year, K's offense scored 247 points. His defense let up 361 points. They got outscored the whole season by 123 points. That was their point differential. Tay, I give him a lot of shit, but he has knowledge of the game at least. This guy has no knowledge of the game, so it's about to be even worse. 1-7, I mean, they might not win a game next year, and they might legitimately lose every game by 40. I mean, this guy's going to have to go out and recruit. He doesn't have that type of network, right? So it's going to be like a Michael Blair, Louisiana situation, right? I just think it's going to be a bunch of local guys trying to put something together, and that's all it's going to be. I mean, I'm glad the team is still playing. I think they have a solid fan base in Eau Claire. I mean, we got that from our guy, Justin, who goes to games. I mean, I think they do have a solid base, but I don't think it'll be anything special. I think the team will be horrible, so.
Fair point. I'm still giving Michael Blair in Louisiana a couple more points than Jim Britton. I at least know that he's coached in Louisiana before, and some 8-man ball at that. So, TJ, what are your thoughts on the Eau Claire situation, the head coach, the ownership, all of it?
Well, I mean, for starters, that's kind of the downfall or the backfire of the way they're set up. They essentially start out as in theory a single entity league, and then after that they try to open it up then and bring other ownerships in. So if it was another league, the team probably would not be, I mean, obviously they would not be fielded. It would basically be an owner trying to sell the branding rights to another team. But because of the way the TAL is set up, they're not in. If the league has to own and potentially run it for a little while or even for the whole year until another owner comes in, that's kind of in their mind that this could happen given our basic model, or at least it should be. So I don't think they're in as bad shape as they are as another league would be if they do have to kind of take the reins and ownership of the league or the team for a year. In terms of the head coaching hire, man, I'm rooting for him. I honestly am rooting for him. It's his first head coaching opportunity in a 40-year coaching career, and I want him to do well. Uh, you know, he's talking in one of the interviews I looked up that he's hoping to bring back the core amount of players from last year, maybe even some staff members from last year. So I kind of want to see how this develops more, but I'm definitely rooting for him because I mean, how can you not root for a guy who his first opportunity to be a head coach finally happens after four decades in the coaching profession?
Vic Fangio, anyone? Sounds almost identical to his career path. I mean, it's an interesting hire, and I mean, I don't want to knock the guy. I don't know anything about him, quite frankly, and I hope that he does find success with Eau Claire. But it sounds like it's a very tough situation for anybody to find success there right now, and hopefully it gets better. One of the things that we keep hearing about the TAL is that there's a little bit of favoritism toward the Woo, from the league ownership, because obviously that's how they got involved with the league in the first place. And that's part of what has kind of handicapped some of these teams that are league owned so far. Now, hopefully that doesn't continue to be an issue, and you can find some ownership groups that come in and they want to build the team up.
But I'll say one thing too is I hope he does well too. I know he's an outsider, but I mean, you three live in a world where every team wins a championship, right? Every team has a winning season, right? I don't live by those delusional values. I see things the way they are. So
Except when it comes to Orlando. Just, you know.
that's not, we're not talking about that league right now. There's teams that every team, there's going to be teams in the league that will be good and teams in the league that will be bad. This team will be bad. So that's just what it is. So
I do honestly. I don't agree with Chris a lot of times, but I actually agree with Chris this time because I just don't see it. And I know TJ, you want to congratulate the gentleman for 40 years of coaching, but obviously during those 40 years, he wasn't meant to be a head coach. That's why he wasn't a head coach. You don't just wait that long for no reason. And he's used to probably 8 man. This is 7 man. This is a different style. You can't come in there like Tay did, thinking you can run the wishbone or recreate the wheel, which he's probably going to try to do. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen in the TAL. It's Bones is gonna come with the heat. Dorsey and us down at the Goats gonna come with the heat. Cam gonna come with the heat. Everybody in that team is in that league is gonna beat that team at least by 20 to 30 points, and I honestly feel that. They just don't have the financial backing and they don't have the stability up there to do it. Now, if you got a real owner to come in, put some money into the team and really invest in it, yeah. But I think they will have to make a culture change just really, I think they need to change their whole identity up there to be successful because what they started with, it just left a bad taste in people's mouth. It just don't sit right, and you got to build the brand back up a different way. And I don't think hiring a coach from a 1-17 last year is going to do it.
Are you thinking like full rebrand, like Wise Guys to Diamonds style?
Yeah, they need to make it work. Make the city and the league and the just national fans believe back in the program because the stigmatism is that Jeff shows favoritism to the Woo because that's his baby, that's his team, that's who he wants to win. So everybody knows that when you come into TAL, that's no hidden message. You come in, but you got to make sure you get the right ownership group to compete with that same mentality because he's competitive. You can't knock him for being competitive. That's all it is. He's doing what he's supposed to do, be competitive for his franchise. So I don't see nothing wrong with how Jeff does it, but I do think they should make sure they get owners in place who really are sustainable and been vetted properly to know that they're gonna operate and at least compete with everybody. I like the way what we doing down in St. Joe. The new owner came in and he's restructuring everything. We got a new office. We in the community more. Just the little things you do when you come in. You got to have a business mind vision because it's still entertainment with arena football. You got to entertain and you got to entice the fans to want to be there. Uh, if you don't have a true ownership in place and the leagues running your stuff, you're not gonna have a lot of community engagement or fan engagement because you don't have the right leadership to help you or know them brands or know where you're supposed to go to. So it's a catch 22 sometimes, and I think we need to look at that when we saying. I know everybody want every program to do good, or we don't. I don't want them to fold at all, but I just don't think they're going to be successful winning right now unless they do a real revamp.
That might be accurate, and then you make a great point. We've talked about it at length with the UFL, but it's the same exact mentality when you talk about the TAL. When you have franchises in towns, but aren't necessarily like currently, the podcast host mentioned, nothing's actually in place for Eau Claire currently until Jim Britton was hired. There's not a staff in place. There's not a physical presence in Eau Claire. So it's not like they're out there building goodwill for the team currently. There is nothing there yet, or wasn't up until the announcement this week for Jim Britton. So for months, there was just silence, so that's hard for a fan base to even want to buy back in, let alone the fact that, they've had prior issues and kind of confusion with the ownership and all that. So yeah, I
You
think
you
that's
gotta
that's
you gotta
definitely a factor.
you gotta look at it, Sam. You can't live off sponsorships and ticket sales. It has to be something else involved. It has to be entertainment. You got to have a marketing team to market. You got to have a marketing team to sell. You got to have a marketing team to put together and the game day operation staff to put together experience to make people want to come and buy your product or come and see your product week in and week out. If you don't have those stuff in place, it's going to be hard for any team to be successful in arena, period.
Agreed. Agreed. I don't think anything you're saying is out of the question.
And see, I like this comment too by Mr. Beck. I think one of the things he's and the Lions have done is they have re-signed, and I'm sure we'll get to it, key players, right? You know how easy it would have been for them to go the semi-pro route and get semi-pro guys, but no, he's re-signing all the top guys: DeAndre Brown, Joe Green, right? Makai Yancey, like all these big time players, and he's keeping the product legit. And so that's why I hold every team to a high standard, because of owners like him that do it right. So
that's fair. And a lot of these players that are being brought back by Columbus are local, which obviously we've talked about a lot. Marketing is everything. And, that's one of the things that he seems to be investing in very heavily. I'm not sure if you guys have seen, but recently there was a picture posted on the Lions Facebook page of, billboards that are put up around Columbus, Georgia now. So, they're making a hardcore effort to market the team, which is kind of our point with Eau Claire. So, I mean, it was perfect comment for the perfect time. Eau Claire right now doesn't have a presence in that market. And, everything from last season, for the most part, comes off negative. So, it's not like they're building off of a set foundation like teams like the Goats or stuff like that are. So that's one of the big things that I think this organization is facing, and I think that's kind of Coach B's point for the rebrand. This comment by Ricky, I was hoping he would chime in at some point about the Nebraska team. Mike Davis, you aside from Charlie and the entire Bozeman would know better than anyone, so maybe people should listen to what you are saying. I was wondering on Ricky's opinion on this move, because obviously if anybody knows what's going on in Nebraska, it's him. He's helped build, Omaha into being one of the most successful indoor teams in any league. So he knows what the market wants and what it needs. And so I'm curious to see how these two teams coexist in Nebraska when, realistically, when you think indoor football, you think of Omaha, when it comes to at this point. Maybe it was different back when the Danger were around, but I don't think there's ever going to be a point where any TAL team is kind of taking the shine away from the NAL yet. Maybe things change in the future. I don't think we're at that point quite yet. Any other TAL thoughts, feelings, anything anybody wants to get out before we switch leagues and topics? Good morning, Adrian. Thanks for tuning in, man. Anything?
I mean, yeah, I just want to get your guys' opinion, Coach B too. Like we talk about the Grand Island team, right? Obviously them. It seems like there's a little bit of deception there, but if they do play, right, who would you go after for head coach, right? Who's on your hot board? You would say.
I mean, I think your first suggestion of Adam Loftus makes a lot of sense. He's somebody that's been around in that state. He's got some experience as a coordinator, and realistically, he's on the path to be a head coach at some point in the near future. So why not make it now, and give him the opportunity to do it. And maybe it's only for a season before he gets called up to the NAL, IFL, whatever it may be. But I think that's a great suggestion in terms of somebody who's already in the state of Nebraska that's got coaching experience. Now, am I an expert on all the different indoor football coaches that exist in Nebraska? No. He's just the most prominent currently. So, they might have some other guys on the radar that I'm not aware of, but I think Adam Loftus would be a home run hire if you're the TAL currently looking at coaches.
For sure.
TJ, any
I'm gonna
thoughts?
lie.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Coach.
If Boston and them was involved and they had the right ownership, I would intrigue the idea of coaching up there, because Grand Island's not far, and it's I know you can make it in that town, but it has to be the right ownership group. And you asked about any other TAL thoughts. The Goats is gonna win by far the league this year. Honestly, telling you that, and that's the most humblest way saying it.
I'm still with Arkansas, but I will say one thing. This is gonna sound crazy. I would make a push at Xavier Jackson from New Mexico. I honestly think he played for the team, he coached for the team. Like, well, if I think he would consider it. I don't think he would take it, but it's worth maybe putting in an offer. But Adam Loftus, 100%. I think if Adam Loftus gets the phone call, he'll 100. Like, I would be shocked if he got the phone call and didn't take it, to be honest. I think he would take it.
I would not be as shocked because you have to look at the trajectory of what's going on in his career currently. You know, he took over the defensive coordinator position for Omaha, a year ago, 2 years ago? And now all of a sudden he's one of the hottest candidates in the NAL if you're looking for guys who are up and coming in the league. So I think that at that point, you know, it's got to be the right situation for him to want to leave, you know, Omaha, because chances are they're going to continue to be good. So it's not like he's going to lose that momentum at any point anytime soon. So in my personal opinion, I think he's probably in a position where he can kind of hold out for the perfect situation for him. And maybe that's what Grand Island is, but I don't think it's as cut and dry as we may think from the outside looking in. Let's put it that way. Nebraska has no water. You're right. Well, unless you count Lake McConaughey, and that's even kind of dry right now. So I saw that last night, Grand Island note state listed. First thing I thought of was Grand Isle, Louisiana, and was like, they ain't got no arena there. Thanks for that take, Brian. We know you're the expert on Louisiana for sure. The Nebraska Danger were previously in Grand Island, Nebraska, just so you're aware. We're going to pivot a little bit. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come right back. We're going to discuss the most recent announcement from everybody's new favorite league, the International Arena League, that just announced its teams. I believe it was last Friday. So we're going to discuss the team names that came out. It sounds like they've got 11 announced so far. There's one more to come, apparently on December 15th. We'll get into where the teams are located, how this travel is going to work, and a little bit more. There isn't really much to talk about quite yet, but we'll get into it. Pivoting to the International Arena League and their most recent announcement for all the teams. I'm going to list the teams real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get into some of these locations and some of the insane travel that's going to come because of it. Already previously announced before this most recent announcement were the Las Vegas Rockers, the Cincinnati Slingers, and the Glasgow Tartans. This most recent announcement brought 8 more teams: the Dusseldorf Warriors, the Stuttgart Stallions, the Utah Great Eights, the England Eruptors, the Halifax Highlanders, the Zurich Ibex, Arizona Juggernauts, and Saskatoon Crushers. So obviously teams all over Europe, teams in the middle of America, and then you also have a team in Canada as well. So and then also the previously announced teams in Cincinnati, Las Vegas, and Glasgow. So, Krish, I have a feeling you've got some strong thoughts about some of these markets, so we'll get to you first, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, first of all, I have family members that live in all those markets, and I've contacted them, and they have not heard a single word about this happening. Number two, if this league plays the game, I will shave my head, so you can add that to my list. And then
Whoa. No more shaving your head, bro. It's got to be like your eyebrows or something at this point.
yeah, we'll still do head, but we'll stick with head. One more, yeah, it's my last one. But and number three, I just with passports, with travel, with everything, it seems so unrealistic. I hope. I mean, it would be cool to see, but I don't think it'll work out at all. You know, I watched the documentary multiple times. They seem like they have a good staff and everything, but the staff doesn't seem knowledgeable about arena indoor football at all. So it's important to, place, good staff that understand indoor ball. I'm sick of seeing these teams hire people that just don't know. They don't know the sport. They have experience in other sports, but this sport is different. It's very different. Like unless you work for ECHL team or a minor league sports team before, you shouldn't be working in indoor ball, in my opinion. So I in the business side. So that's just my opinion on it. I don't think it's sustainable at all.
It looks challenging to say the least, but TJ, I wanted to get your thoughts first before I kind of input mine.
Well, I'm going to start off by saying the Saskatoon Crushers. Man, every time I read that, I picture the lifeguard from Grown Up saying it in his really high voice. Uh, it's, I mean, the
I got
glaring
everything.
thing to me is what is one of the hardest things for every league to really get down to a good point, and that's travel. And this is a nightmare. Travel's going to be a nightmare. I mean, if if they came out and if they came out and maybe had an idea where only certain teams face each other, and then once it's the playoffs or once it's the championship game, then the sides from the alternate sides, top two teams kind of thing. But you're talking, a team from Cincinnati is going to go to England. Come on. I mean, it's like we said, it's like we always say, we don't want any league to fail, but I mean, come on, man. Some are kind of, failure to launch. And this is, I'm not trying to be too difficult on them because I'm usually an optimistic guy, but I just don't see this working out. I really don't.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those leagues that on the surface, there's so many questions that it's hard to even find a footing to feel optimistic about the situation. We look at just kind of the footprint of the league, and like you just mentioned, the teams are really going to fly from mid-America all the way over to Europe for games, on a regular basis. Like the only way this makes any sense, and even at that point, it's still difficult is teams playing regionally scheduled games, like you said, and not having to travel across the pond to play each other. But even when you look at those teams, and I'll list them again just to give you guys everybody a good idea. We'll look at the American teams. You got Las Vegas, Cincinnati, Utah, Arizona. So yes, those areas aren't terribly far apart. That's technically a decent 4-team division, but that travel isn't easy. We're not talking about like AAL style travel or even NAL style travel. That's still a flight typically to all those different markets, I would imagine. So, and then you look at the European division. You got Dusseldorf, Stuttgart, England, Halifax, or not Halifax, sorry, Zurich, and then Glasgow. So, I mean, that's a whole nother thing too. There's a lot of flights involved in there. And then you got, 2 teams in Canada? Halifax and Saskatoon. Man, there's a lot of questions. A lot more questions than there are answers currently. So, I want every league to succeed, and I want everybody to find their own little niche in this market and all that stuff. But man, that looks like some very, very tough travel on the surface. And that's not even looking past that. I don't know anything about team ownership groups. They haven't really said if there's ownership involved individually or if it's league-owned teams. It's a very optimistic goal at the least. But we'll see how things go. Lots of comments rolling in, so I'll run through them real quick. Brian says 2026 IAL equals 2024 AFL. That's exactly how I feel right now. It's a group of people that may not know exactly what they're getting themselves into. Sorry, what was that, TJ?
I said maybe. That's a good comparison.
Yeah, actually it is. Maybe there's even some people involved that know about arena football, but not enough to lead the shit. Also, make sure you're letting us know what you guys think in the chat. We always love to get your thoughts. And then also make sure you're hitting that like button if you haven't done so already. We just crossed over 3,000 subscribers. We are chasing 3,500 now. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also subscribe to our second channel, which is Strictly Live Sports. We had the Mountain West Women's Volleyball Championship on there, our playoffs yesterday. We'll have the championship today. So lots of good stuff coming on that channel as well. Wonder, will they only travel overseas during playoffs or championship in IAL? I would imagine that's the case. IAL equals NGL vaporware. Cities didn't know anything about a team coming. That's not entirely accurate. I have heard that people have inquired about a venue in Vegas. We'll see if we can't get somebody to comment on that here shortly. Everyone would be skeptical if this was a USTA team-based league. Add in the international part on top of that. Come on, maybe Grand Island, Nebraska is surrounded by water after all then. Utah needs an indoor football market. I would agree. A team from Monterey couldn't make it in the NAL. How's a first-year league going to make it work taking $40,000 road trips? Did TKO bankroll this? Get them on the show, Shady. We need more info. I actually have reached out. At just full disclosure, they reached out after I posted up their logos after this announcement, and they said they could get me some better graphics, and that I also took the opportunity to ask if I could get their commissioner on, because what better opportunity to have them on than when they reach out to us. And I did not get any response to that. So thought that was interesting, which we'll discuss a little bit more. Travel for Cincinnati is tough at best. 3 long fights and time zone changes. And that man would know, because he is in the one league that is hyper focused on travel. If international was just American and Canadian teams, that's still international and a lot more attainable. Yes, Caleb, from a question I sent them on a live show, they couldn't dodge. My understanding from someone in the league is only travel overseas for playoffs. Awesome. Thank you for that. All right, quick surprise guest that has some insight into what's going on with this league. So we'll go ahead and bring him on. How's it going, Coach Davis?
What's up, guys?
Yeah, you got lots to say today. Grand Island, Nebraska coming back, and International Arena League stepping on your toes a little bit there in Vegas.
I mean, you're not stepping on our toes. It doesn't matter to me. People just forget, and having experience in the CFL, you have to work out a deal with the Canadian government, with the American government, just to travel back and forth to play games. So that means no player with any criminal record, no DUIs, no felonies, right? Coaches included. I'd love to see Saskatoon figure out, okay, I'm going to split time with their field hockey team, the lacrosse team up there, right? That does fantastic. They're not. I mean, this is crazy, and obviously I have some insight in Vegas, but I can't really. I'm kind of muzzled on it a little bit. But they're again, I hope every league works, but let's be realistic. I mean, if the NFL hasn't figured it out yet, how is an arena league going to figure it out yet?
That's my thought process, and there's a lot. There's just so much unanswered here, and it seems like there's a concerted effort by the league to avoid divulging certain information. So it screams very much 2024 AFL to me as well. So we'll see how things go, but. I saw you had some comments on Grand Island as well. I mean, I figure we have you on here. We might as well ask about that as well. What was your time in Grand Island like? How's the fan base out there? And then why do you think that the Bozelmans are so integral in making it work out there?
So Grand Island was fantastic, right? They're the opportunity that gave me my first true head coaching job. But the Boswell families had businesses in that area since 1930s, right? Like there's like people go to Grand Island. Oh, the Boswell family. I mean, the conference center that's attached to the Heartland Event Center is got their name on the building, right? And Grand Island's changed so much since the danger, but I know that the Boswell family's not involved, right? So when the Boswell, they did business with so many people, so it was easy to go get sponsorships and season tickets because you're affiliated with the one family that truly gives back to the community. I'm still very well connected with them and people that are in that area and live in that town, and they're just like, it's going to be a train wreck.
It'll be interesting for sure. Out of curiosity, and maybe you can shed some light on this, one thing that popped back up last night after this announcement is the fact that the Nebraska Dangers still have a website out there. I mean, if they're never coming back to the IFO, why still have a website?
Who knows? Honestly, I have no clue, right? Like when the Danger left, and here's just some insight that people don't know. Charlie Boston was going to move the team from Nebraska to Vegas because he has a place here in Vegas also. So those conversations had happened, right? And then obviously, you get two extremely wealthy people. Like sometimes you just can't, you butt heads. So obviously, the Foleys took the market because that's what they wanted, and realistically, the Boston family, the it's owned by a brother and a sister. The sister is the attorney on the side. Charlie runs all the day-to-day business stuff, so it's different.
Interesting. I've always wondered about that website has never really gone away. It always kind of leaves that little bit of hope out there that the Nebraska Danger are going to come back at some point. So it was one of those things that I saw kicking around last night again. TJ, Krish, Wild Coach Davis is here. You guys have any questions for him? Krish, do you have a ring size for him? Maybe a t-shirt size? You're awfully quiet up there all of a sudden, man.
Nah, I'm just waiting till May 18th, man. I'll talk a lot of shit that day,
Hold on, I thought Krish had a family reunion or something on May 18th.
No, I'll be there. We got Michael Mason back. I'll be there. Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Just make sure you're there. You got all your logos on your t-shirt.
I heard they had merch available right away. Is that not accurate?
Yeah, we did. Where
did or do?
We got a fast track. So I'm just so happy I got my t-shirt. Orlando Pirates able to represent one of the best brands in the IFL. But yeah, I'll see you on May 18th.
Can we see that whole t-shirt, Krish? Let me see the whole logo.
It's right here. Yeah.
Is it missing an eye? I'm trying to be rude. I can't tell. It's a little bit far away, but
sometimes in business you got to do stuff, quickly, and I'm just thankful to have a t-shirt that says Orlando on it. So,
yeah, I can get you one of those from Disneyland.
I know, but the eye will come. It'll come with due time.
You got to earn the eye. You lost the other one.
So we're going in. So basically, we're going in blind this year. We're going in blind. Chris is going in blind.
Yeah, until I get my new t-shirt. But
he doesn't need to know any information other than they're the Pirates, so they're immediately going to be the best team in the league.
But no, I'll see you soon, Coach. Appreciate you. I'm definitely excited. That's all.
It's crazy that you're so quiet right now, Krish. But
I'm really looking forward to taking down the champs. Like we get a shot at you, man. Like it's been since 2023. I still remember that day, man. It was like Christmas when we beat you. So I'm just I'm so excited. Like words can't express. I got so many guys on that team too. Like I want revenge on. Marquise Waters, Lorenzo Hernandez. If D-Will comes back, it'll be like a whole list. So it'll be good.
Revenge.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your input, Coach. Appreciate you jumping on and giving us some insight on what you know about the IAL and on top of that, the TAL going back to Nebraska. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem, guys. Anytime. I was up working, so I was like, oh, this is right up my wheelhouse.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you jumping on.
Chris has some outlandish stuff today. Maybe I'll jump back in on you.
All right, sounds good. You got the link. You're welcome on whenever you want, sir.
All right,
Same
guys.
link every week, by the way, just so you know.
I'll make sure I save it.
All right, sounds good. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming on.
There, Coach.
Love that he just wanted to hop on to give us some insight on some of the stuff that
I was gonna say Jawad won an IFL championship before he did, but I got too much respect for Coach Davis to put that stat out there.
The second he gets off the show, now you talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
Stayed silent the
crazy,
whole
Chris.
time.
I gotta respect my OGs. I can't say too much. So
Hey, you gotta say it when they there though, in their face.
no,
Yeah.
I'm like that. Not for him. He's too nice of a guy. To say
so. You
anything.
wait till he's gone.
Yes.
Somebody was scared.
It's okay. It's okay, Krish. We all know the truth now. We all know the truth now. We're going to hit a quick commercial break. We'll come back and discuss. I mean, man, we still have so much to talk about. We've got the AIF, a couple pieces of information from there, some AAL stuff.
I can't wait till we get to AF1, man.
Some more AF1 news, some NAL news, and some IFL transaction stuff. We got some guests coming on fairly shortly. Sounds like we'll have a couple guests from the IFL this morning. So stick with us. We're far from done. We're actually just getting started. So if you guys are here, make sure you go grab your favorite beverage, hopefully coffee or, energy drink if you're like me. Sit down, get relaxed, and hang tight because we got lots more to talk about. Man, Goat Sports taking over the world of indoor football merchandise as of right now. As you just saw, we've been dropping their link in the chat multiple times today. They do all the stuff for the NAL. They do a lot of the stuff for the AAL. They even help the IFL at this point, as we just mentioned with the Orlando Pirates. So pretty cool to see them kind of growing their footprint as well. Couple comments we'll get to before we get to the next subject. Now Krish starts talking the minute he gets off. Adrian says, Krish, hit me up once you're off of this. Uh-oh, you're getting called to the principal office. You got in trouble. Terrible. Of course, Krish chirps in when I'm off. Texas Pete also tuning in. Good morning, Texas Pete. Thank you, as always, for being here every Saturday. We really appreciate everybody who tunes in every week to support this show. And as always, if you want to continue supporting Shady Sports Network, make sure you jump over, grab some merchandise from brandingblanks.com. And then also, if you would like a sticker, hit me up. Got plenty more of them left. We're doing them $1 a piece. So,
and see, one thing I want to say, the difference between me and you guys is half the people you guys talk about, you'll never see in person. Half the people I talk about, I will see in person. So like Coach Davis, I'll see you May 18th. I'll probably come and, hit up my boy when I go to Vegas sometime. But like I have to explain on my takes in person. Tay, I'm gonna see in person week 1. You guys will never see any of these people. So, it's easy for you to be light. But
you're gonna be in Pueblo week 1?
No, I'll be in week 2. I'll be in Omaha.
Oh, okay. I was like, I was not aware of this. You're definitely gonna have to come hang out then. Still working on the details of trying to set up a live podcast for kickoff of the Pueblo Punisher.
No, the smell of marijuana makes me cough, so I don't.
Oh, well, then you probably don't want to come to Colorado at like any point in your life, because it's just emanating from everywhere out here. But yeah, anyway,
or Allentown, Pennsylvania,
like most of the America at this point. So what do we want to shift to next? Do we want to talk about the NAL, the AF1, the AAL, or the AIF?
Let's go AF1 and then finish with the NAL or the IFL.
Yeah, IFL, we should probably wait till we get our guests on. Okay, so let's go to AF1. The most recent news out of the AF1 came from Anthony Carter. He recently mentioned that the AF1 and F1 have started talking about a settlement outside of court to basically shut down the claims that F1 is saying that there is confusion between the two brands due to their naming, their names, and kind of disputing some of the naming rights the AF1 has. So we'll go to TJ first on this. TJ, what are your thoughts that the AF1 and F1 are already talking about a settlement outside of court this early on after hearing the news that they were concerned about the name?
I mean, I'm going to be really candid on this. I thought the whole thing was stupid. Okay. AF1, F1, I mean, let's be honest. There is, for me, there was never any confusion. I mean, obviously I'm football first. Any kind of, I do enjoy, watching a NASCAR race or Formula One race, but when AF1 announced their name and branding coming out, I didn't even think about F1. So I kind of thought the whole thing was stupid from the start. Honestly, it's part of what is wrong with the current society. Everyone, copywriting, patented, doing all this, doing all that, every little thing. It's just ridiculous. Now I'll get off my soapbox. My apologies. But no, I mean, for them to be in discussions this early, it's good. I mean, especially more so for the AF1 because you can kind of argue that they already technically rebranded once to the AF1. So if they were going to have to rebrand again, it was going to be, at least in terms of public perception, kind of comical or definitely a negative on the league. So hopefully they're working it out where basically they can kind of just agree to disagree, so to speak, maybe work out some stuff behind the scenes, but ultimately keep the AF1 name for the league, because I do think at this point, after having a whole season under their belt, coming back, their name's starting to get out there. They don't want to have to rebrand the entire league all over again.
I would agree, and I would also point out the fact that while the AF1 is run by a group of lawyers, realistically, I don't think that they have the financial firepower to really compete with F1. F1's a worldwide brand, has facets in every country. So I think it would be very difficult for them to try and compete with them in court. So, the fact that there's already a settlement being discussed is a good thing. I think that shows progress. And I think it shows that, the league is actively understanding where they lie in the grand scheme of things. So, a couple comments real quick. Freaking money grubbers, as if paying money is going to clear up any alleged confusion. F1 has been overly litigious for 50 years now. Not really surprising for racing fans. In my best Jerry Maguire voice, show me the money. Exactly. I personally don't think that this is as big a deal as the F1 is making it either. I personally think that there's very little confusion here for anybody who's a fan of either sport for that matter. I think if you're an F1 fan, you've probably never even heard of the AF1, and typically vice versa. If you're an arena football fan, you're not a big racing fan, you probably don't think of the F1, when you hear AF1. So I think this is kind of a silly point. But we're going to loop back around to the AF1 a little bit later on. We have one of our first guests here that recently signed with the New Mexico Chupacabras, Mr. Gernard Nunley Jr. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Nunley. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me so much.
Absolutely. Coach B, thanks for setting this up. I'll let you just kick us off with the questions here this morning.
What's up, Nunley?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. How does it feel? I saw your work ethic. You saw what you can do on and off the field. How does it feel signing with a league like the IFL and going to a new franchise in New Mexico?
It feels like a dream come true. Not gonna lie. I can't believe it, honestly, but it feels amazing. And yeah, thank you for noticing my work ethic. I work really hard, and me joining the Iowa Power, and through that experience, I kind of seen like now I need to train harder. Like I saw what it was at a different level, a higher level. So yeah, thank you. And yeah, it is really a dream come true. I can't believe it. It feels amazing.
Absolutely. As Coach B said, you kind of worked your way up the ladder the past couple seasons. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you also played some semi-pro before Iowa, and then ended up where you're at today. How has that pathway kind of set you up for success for the future, given that you've kind of had to work for everything you've been given so far?
Yeah, man. I personally feel like I had to get it out the mud. Grind my way to the top, played a little semi-pro. I played with like the worst team, then I played with the best team in St. Louis, and then make my way up to arena ball. It was a tough journey. There were times to where I wanted to give up, but I never did, But it's a long path, and the ethic and the ability to keep grinding and never give up. It was crazy. I do feel like so basically like I guess I play with a chip on my shoulder, and that's why I work out so hard too, because I feel like I'm chasing something that's not handed to me. So I'm chasing something that hasn't been done yet. Like I haven't been to college, so for me to even be able to go pro is crazy. Like the chances are so low. So now I'm training harder now. So I feel like the journey was hard, but it's a crazy accomplishment. And yeah.
Man, I was not aware of that. You didn't attend college and you're out here playing professional football now?
Hey, hey, Shady, and he's not lying about work ethic. This dude gets up early, 5, 6 in the morning, training. He's training 2 or 3 times a day. I had to tell him at one point, like, stop lifting so much, bro. You're gonna pull a muscle or something. We have team meals. He won't eat unless it's a healthy meal. So he is he all in. His work ethic is far from none. Like he be Coach B. I can play corner. I can play DN. I can play whatever you need me to be. He just wants to be on the field, and I think that's one of those type of guys that you need around your program, willing to do anything. And I'm glad he got the opportunity and the gift to join the IFL.
Absolutely. That's great news. And as far as I'm concerned, if Coach B is a fan of you, you're probably in a good standing. TJ, do you have any questions for Mr. Nunley here?
Oh yeah. Obviously in terms of team aspirations, you always want to win the championship, but for for you personally, though, what personal accomplishments or milestones do you wanna have for this upcoming season, be able to look back on and be proud of?
Honestly, just being known, being seen, being heard. I want to go out there and make noise. I personally plan on being the best and nothing less, you know. Uh, and I do hope we win a championship, you know. But besides the championship, you know, I mean, I'm aiming for MVP for real, but it's also a team game, so it's really not all about me, man. Even if I do good, I wouldn't. I'm not going to do good without my team, O line, defense, offense, coaching staff. So overall, I just hope my experience is good, and my experience is at a team level. If you know what I'm trying to say, like just a big team bonding experience, and I really hope we all do good. Honestly.
Agreed. Agreed. And obviously the film I'm playing right now is from his YouTube channel. If you want to check out the full video, figured we'd throw up some of its highlights, show you guys what he can do. Especially if you're a fan in New Mexico, you might want to watch out. This dude definitely has some breakaway speed, despite the fact that he's a little bit of a bigger back. So I think he's going to fit the IFL style well. Gennard, is it Gennard? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Gennard.
Okay, Gennard, tell us a little bit about your time with the Iowa Power and what your first experience was like in indoor football.
My time with Iowa Power, it was good. Like mini camp when I first got there, that was tough. I felt like I was gonna die, but I got through it. Experience overall, they did keep it at a professional level, and making us. They had us. Not I wouldn't say making us, but they had us doing events and everything, and so that was cool. And what was your last question? I'm sorry.
Just overall, what your first experience was like indoors.
It was fun. I I didn't think it was gonna be that fun, and I thought it was gonna be worse than what it was. You know, it was fun. It's fast paced. It's really not. I wouldn't say it's not. It's not different as 11-man outdoor football, but um, it is just more of a fast paced game. So my experience was. I mean, it just wasn't bad. I guess you know, it was a fun experience. So I just didn't really see too much of a difference. You know, it was just my tempo.
Yeah, makes sense for sure. TJ, Coach B, you guys have any more questions for Gennard?
How many yards you think you're gonna rush for and touchdowns this season? And where do you see you guys ranked at the end of the season this year in the IFL?
I want to say, you know, I want to rush overall this season. I don't know what a good stat line is in indoor and IFLs. I gotta check that out, but 1,000 would be cool. The coaching staff we got, the team that we got. Man, I'll be damned if we're not number one. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. So
Love it. Love it.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely gotta have the confidence for sure. TJ, any more questions?
Yeah, I always like to ask players this. Do you have any pregame rituals or any superstitions?
no, but I do believe that I guess I believe in manifestation, so I feel like I worked really hard, so it's always gonna be good, you know. Um, but really nothing really crazy I do before a game. Uh, maybe try to. I could say think about. I say I could think about something that fires me up. Rage. I feel like rage is very powerful. Like when you think about a time where you had to go through the storm, that really gets the adrenaline pumping, and that's like an extra gear that people really don't know about and think about. Like you can channel that, like being able to get angry, mad. That's an extra gear. That's a push.
Absolutely.
And you had a comment from Coach Davis said he loved your confidence, and that's from the big dog. So that's a good thing. You're doing something right. You got the IFL on notice already, man. Good luck to you this season, and appreciate you coming on, man. Keep working like you do, and show out for the Show Me State, baby.
I will. And thank you for having me, Coach B. Uh, you were a great coach. You were a great coach out there. Man, the defense was amazing in Iowa Power. I'm not gonna lie. But thank you guys all for having me. This is a cool experience.
Absolutely. Would love to have you back on in the future as well. We got one more question in the chat for you. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now and then 10 years from now? So kind of a long-term vision.
5 years from now, man, maybe CFL, CFL or NFL, NFL practice squad, you name it. Hopefully, you said 10 years from now, I would love to give the game back to the youth. You know, I don't mind. I like training kids. I don't mind doing it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun watching them, teaching them things, and I can train them in every position. So that's kind of fun. Cornerback, outside linebacker. You know, I played all that in high school. So overall, it'll just be fun in the future to coach or be a trainer or anything of the sort.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. Thank you for joining us today, Gerard. Really appreciate your time this morning. Wish you nothing but luck in 2026, and very excited to see what New Mexico has in store for the IFL. I think they're going to surprise some people this year personally, but we shall see.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Any final thoughts or anybody you want to shout out before you get out of here?
Shout out to the whole New Mexico team, man. The whole coaching staff, the fans. It's gonna be a one big effort from all of us to make some noise and get the job done for real. So
You better shout out your family because that's your number one fan base.
of course, I'm shout out my family, my mom and dad, just support me all the time, man. Shout them all out, of course.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. We are going to let you get out of here and switch over to another guest. So thank you once again for your time. Best of luck in 2026. All right. To get over to our next guest, we have offensive lineman Dallas Holiday, who has re-signed with the San Diego Strike Force for the 2026 season. Mr. Holiday, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate your time, and I know you're not feeling great, so thank you once again for tuning in despite that.
Yes, sir. No problem.
So I have to ask, man, like, how did you first become aware of the IFL, and what ultimately led to your decision to sign with San Diego?
I ended my last college football season in 2023, and then you know how that post experience is just doing pro days, combines, and trying to do as many tryouts and stuff that I could. And I was just at home, and I got a call from the Northern Arizona Wranglers back in it was like the summer of 23 or 24, summer of 24. And then I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna take an opportunity. I didn't really know too much about this league, but I was just like, whatever opportunity I can get to continue my professional career and keep rising up in the ranks to get to where I want to go. And I ended up signing with the Wranglers, and then I was there for it was about like 8 weeks. I got there at the end of the season, and then the next season I actually ended up signing with the Bay Area Panthers last season, and then that was a good experience. Unfortunately, you know, the team just they couldn't keep the organization going, but I ended up after that season, I was like, you know what, I really want to stay in California. I'm from Los Angeles myself, so San Diego's on like an hour and a half away, and be real good for my family and everything to come and see me play a lot easier. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna see if I could talk to these San Diego coaches. And luckily, I was talking to them last year before I signed the Bay Area because they wanted me to sign there, and like I ended up going with the Bay. But this year I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sign to San Diego and see where this goes.
Makes sense. Obviously, our condolences to anybody who was affected by Bay Area deciding to go dormant for 2026. Never like to see good teams go away, and Bay Area was one of the best in the league perennially every year.
Right.
One of the best in the league. So, TJ, do you have any questions for Dallas?
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on the show today. For you personally, what was one of the biggest changes that you had to make going from the outdoor game to the indoor game in terms of
Yeah,
play style?
yeah, definitely. I'll just say it's just it kind of surprisingly, but getting quicker and faster, like more explosive off the ball. In the indoor games, a lot of especially up front, O line, D line is all one-on-one blocking. There's literally just a dude right in front of you, and it's like you just got to win your one-on-one rep. Different than outdoor ball offensive line play where you got some help occasionally, or you got 3-man, 4-man slides, even 5-man slides. And in this, it's really just like man on man, like really just the best person wins. Whoever has the better technique, who gets off the ball faster. Um, Basically, that's who wins, and I kind of like that actually. I feel like that's gotten me better as a football player, just in general, in outdoor and indoor. So I would say kind of like that's probably like the biggest difference, just that the speed, just getting quicker off the ball.
Krish, do you have anything?
Yeah, Dallas. Obviously, you play with Portland State, right?
Yes,
In my
sir.
opinion, the Big Sky is one of the most physical conferences in the FCS. Then you play in the Mountain West with Boise State. What are the biggest kind of differences in the level of competition you would say between the two conferences?
Honestly, I would just say probably just like the trenches. That's probably just like the biggest difference at Boise. When I was there, especially, our schedule was always we were always play like the Oklahoma States, BYU's, and just big kind of like bigger teams. And then when I went to Portland State, I was just like I was kind of surprised, I mean, they were, I'm not trying to disrespect my boys, but I was like the D linemen up front weren't as big and physical as like the Mountain West and the FBS level. But I would say, I mean, other than that, like the receivers, quarterbacks, the skill position guys are all pretty much the same. Like my last year at Portland State, we had like a few guys, a lot of dudes end up transferring out after that year, going to like Arizona and Washington State, like big schools. So just shout out to those guys, but. It's definitely like the trench play, just bigger, stronger dudes at the FBS level, but and a little bit more technique too. I'll definitely say that, just a little bit more technique. But I mean, other than that, it's just football.
I also noticed that you had an offer from my Boston College Eagles.
Yes,
What kind
sir.
of made you decide not to go there? That's a big time school in the ACC.
Yeah, definitely. So in high school, I was a two-way guy. So I started off playing defensive line. I was a 3 tech and nose guard up until like my senior year of high school. So a lot of so like Boston College actually offered me to play 3 tech. And then I was just like, man, like I don't know if I could play D line, man. Just not just a lot of running, and I was like, man, I kind of feel like I'm better at O line anyway, so I decided just to stick on that route.
Makes sense. Coach B, do you have
So
anything for Dallas?
Good morning, Dallas. How you doing today, brother?
doing good. Good morning yourself, man.
What's the most exciting experience coming into professional arena football? And I got a two-part question. And what's your most humbling experience coming into arena football?
Yeah, I'll probably just say just when I was at Northern Arizona and getting an opportunity to play in my first game against Bay Area, that was definitely I was kind of surprised. I wasn't really knowing what to expect. But that I'll probably say that was kind of like that moment where I was like, okay, yeah, I like this. Yeah, I could do this. And honestly, the humbling moment I'll probably just say last year when I was on Bay Area. Just I kind of struggled with some injuries and didn't really get the opportunity that I wanted to. And I definitely I stuck it out. I didn't want to ask for like a release or a trade or anything like that. I stuck it out. I kept competing every week, and I'll probably say that was a little humbling. Just coming from where I came from, and who I was going against, and then I get to this league, and I'm like, man, like I was expecting just to play all the time, but there's other good dudes in here too. This league's getting better, and I was like, you know what, it's a good experience. Just keep working, keep grinding, and shit. Now I'm trying to prove what I can do this year with the Strike Force and maybe get a CFL opportunity. But that was probably definitely my most humbling experience.
That can be tough. You come out of college, you're the guy. You think you're probably at that point thinking you're the best in the world, and then professional football kind of humbles you a little bit. But
Yeah,
I'm sure it
definitely.
was a valuable lesson to learn. Because obviously, if you want to make it the highest levels, you got to push yourself, right? So
Yeah, you do. You definitely do.
one thing I wanted to ask you about in particular, and I think you got a unique outlook here that to kind of give us some of the details on the differences here. But
Yeah.
heading into 2025, the IFL changed some of the defensive rules that, including allowing defensive line twists. So
Yeah.
I was wondering, what was it like adjusting as an offensive lineman, going from having limitations on the defensive line in your first season with the IFL to net last season, where all of a sudden those defensive linemen are a little bit more flexible in what they're able to do against you.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little bit more complicated. Because like I said, the D linemen, they're basically head up on you. So, just imagine you get like an N or an ET or something like that from you get a nose guard that's coming straight down like the V of your neck and trying to pick you. It's hard to kind of just because of the proximity of how close we are, it's hard to switch it off. But I feel like at Bay Area, we repped it a lot. We at practice, our D line coach, Malcolm Goins, at Bay Area, he's now San Diego Strike Force new D line coach. But he was a really good coach, pass rush specialist, basically like all different types of twists and pressures just to get us better at recognizing them and just getting quicker with our reaction and picking it up. That's really what it is. Just getting quick, like I said earlier, just getting quicker because those twists are coming quick. You gotta know what you're looking for. Have good eye placement, hand placement, and yeah, man, it's definitely tough though. I can't lie, especially if you got some good dudes on the D line up front trying to stop a pirate or which is like a end looping all the way around, and you got two guys slanting hard inside. It's tough, but I think just with repetition and just more reps with it, we got better, and I got better especially. And now I'm kind of confident with it, and then I'm also just using what I learned from my collegiate experiences. I'm very blessed to have great offensive line coaches at Boise State and Portland State. So I know a lot of those twists and stuff are things I've seen before, so I was kind of able to diagnose it and recognize it a lot quicker.
Out of curiosity, do you feel that gives you a better chance of making it to the next level, or do you think it doesn't really affect you, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it helps. I think just I'm a big IQ IQ guy. I'm all about kind of like the ins and outs, the schematics of everything. And I think it helps. I think primarily it's just that reaction time, just getting quicker off the ball. Because in the CFO, yeah, you have a little bit more space because I think they have to line up like a couple of yards behind the line of scrimmage, the defensive line. So kind of get like a few initial seconds before you got a guy engaging with you. So I think it helps. I think it helps just improving all around as offensive lineman. It's better eyes and better hand placement, quicker feet. That's really all it is, man. That like if you see in the NFL, CFL, a lot of these dudes are big dudes, but they're quick. They can move. They got good technique, good fundamentals, and I'm a believer in just having the right fundamentals and proper technique. Man, you could go as far as you want to.
Agreed. TJ, do you have anything else for Dallas?
No, man, just Congratulations on your signing, and good luck this upcoming season, man. Nothing but the best.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Chris, do you have anything else for Dallas?
No doubts, good luck on the season. I look forward to watching you in San Diego, make a championship run for sure.
Yeah, we will for sure. We will for sure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Dallas, thank you so much for your time this morning. Any final thoughts from you? Anybody you want to shout out? Anything like that before we get out of here?
Just shout out my family first. God, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and then just my teammates at San Diego, and then my past teammates too. I'm wishing them the best this season, hoping everyone could stay healthy, give their best performance, and get opportunity at the next level. So just wishing everybody the best.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. Really appreciate it. Would love to have you back on in the future if that's something
Definitely.
you want to do.
Yes, sir. That sounds good. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and enjoy the football later on today.
I will. Yes, sir. You guys have a good one.
You as well. Awesome. So that once again, that was Dallas Holiday and Jernard Nunley of the New Mexico Chupacabras and San Diego Strike Force. Quarterback Edge Crouch Jr. tuning in.
What's good, Ed, man? Hey, JR Wells survivor right here, man. Really good to see Ed in a great situation in Sioux City. I've been telling my boys in Omaha about Ed. Like, they better watch out. Ed Crouch is the top 3 quarterback in the NAL, and he's coming for MVP. For sure.
Hey, Ed, what are the chances that we could get you on here to discuss some NAL stuff here in a minute? Just a thought. Shoot me or Krish a DM. We'll get you the link if you're interested. As always, please remember to hit the like button. We're going to circle back to the AF1, but before we do, obligatory shout out to the sponsors that make this program possible every week. And here they are.
Up in the pocket, has some room in front of him, gets 3-step drop, here comes the pressure, pass is complete to Flowers, back to pass, pressure coming, has somebody in the end zone, touchdown! Pressure's coming, Russell able to escape, still on his feet, and will be brought down at the, looking, has plenty of time, has Flores at the 15, he's at the 10, and Russell has it on the outside, like I said, he ain't taking a slide, Russell steps up, let's one go, Robinson makes the circus catch it. Going to be a low snap, here comes the pressure, and the pass is going to be complete, and making the catch on Grant Russell. Russell, back to pass, looking, he has Robinson makes the catch, and will be brought down on the play by Isaiah Hall.
Once again, shout out to all the great sponsors that make this program possible every week. That includes the Omaha Beef, the Wheeling Miners, and it sounds like we might be adding a couple more to that list here shortly. So we thank all you guys for your support. Hopefully you guys are seeing value out of advertising with us. So we're going to move back to the AF1. We discussed the legal issues, but we're going to discuss some positive information about the AF1 right now, and that is the partnership with Game One and Under Armour, which was recently announced. It is a multi-year deal, which is obviously a big note here that I think that signals that the AF1 is looking towards a long-term future. So I wanted to ask you guys your opinion on this one and get your thoughts on this partnership with the AF1. Let's go to TJ first on this one.
I think it's really great, especially with the Under Armour, because that is a known brand. It's a big brand, and for them to partner with the AF1, it shows that they are definitely moving up a little bit. With that, like you said, the multi-year deal. That's awesome. I mean, with Jerry Kurz, Jeff Fisher, all the guys they have there, it's not really the AF1 is not one of those leagues where you wonder, are they going to be back next year? You kind of assume they are, and this just strengthens that thought and that word that they have of sticking around for the long term even more. I think it's great. You get name brands like this. It's not you don't have to look them up and see, oh, who did they partner with? Everybody knows Under Armour. So I think it's really great for the league, and I think it's showing that they're moving forward, but also up the ladder a little bit, maybe even in the arena and indoor landscape.
Agreed. Krish, what are your thoughts on the Game One partnership for the AF1?
Yeah, it's a good partnership. I mean, anytime you can grow your brand, I think it's good. But it's up to the players and the coaches to represent that brand, and especially with a big company like Under Armour. So, I hope Under Armour is not going to tolerate some of the things that go on uniform wise in Beaumont. So it's going to have to be a higher standard across the board. But I'm glad they made this move. Because last year the Wolfpack, remember when they wore the Everett, whatever the semi-pro team, like that's not acceptable. Chuck Jones and his jerseys, they improved over time throughout the season. So I want to see that across the board, and I think it's a good move for sure.
To be fair, just to clarify what Krish is discussing, last year there were some delays on the jerseys. They did not arrive in time for the season, so some games were played with alternate jerseys, whether they were, previously jerseys of the team. In Washington's case, they used to run a semi-professional team called the Everett Royals, so they used those jerseys. Southwest Kansas used their 2024 jerseys in their Week 1 game or Week 0 game. And then also we saw Oregon use, I believe, the Oregon High Desert Storm jerseys for a little while as well. So I'm not sure. That was definitely not on the league. It was more on the apparel company that they had contracted, which to my knowledge at the time was involved with Corpus Christi, which we all know how that things have gone with them. So it's not entirely a surprise that there were issues last year. So I think this immediately quells a lot of concerns for team owners and team coaches, staffs in general, because the last couple of years with the uniforms in the AFL and then the AF1 last season have been a mess. I think this will clear up a lot of concerns going forward. And I think this is a really big move for the league, all of the teams, and overall, I think it's just a great move for both organizations, Game One and AF1. Coach B, what are your thoughts on this partnership for the AF1?
Game changer. I think this was a big move. Like you said, I had some insight with Oregon why they did have to wear those other jerseys because I guess whoever the provider was of the original uniform sent jerseys with the same number or some didn't have no numbers on them. So it was an issue with the provider. So now you got a stable provider. You got somebody who's known, a big brand, and can back the league and all the teams. I think it's a great look, especially with what the other leagues have been doing. Now you're setting yourself up for longevity.
Agreed. And just to be clear, none of the uniform issues last year were on any of the individual teams. To my knowledge, it was all based on the uniform provider that was contracted by the league. Again, I think that was Man, I forget the name of the company, but I think it was Triple S, if I remember correctly. Somebody can probably clarify that in the comments if I'm incorrect on that. Krish, what are you referring to at the Beaumont uniforms? Texas Pete is asking.
It was a minor issue. It was in week 3, I believe. That one of the patches on one of the uniforms was missing. It wasn't a big time issue. I should have specified that, but it was a minor issue. I'm sure they can get it hopefully fixed this year. It was only like the patch thing.
I do know that one thing the AF1 is very strict on is uniformity among the league. So I know that players can get fined for multiple different things when it comes to how they dress. You know, if they deviate from certain colors and stuff like that, and all the way down to like socks. So I don't think that's going to be an issue with the team going forward. I could be wrong, but Wiki Drive confirms it is Triple S. The field was subpar. They're buying a whole new turf. That is brilliant. Beaumont looked good in those uniforms holding the trophy. And like Krish said, it was not a major issue. It was a fairly minor issue. So, yeah, it's one of those things. SSS was supposed to do AF1 and NAL last year. They got NAL to the teams in time, but the AF1, however, did not get that luck. So that is one of the downsides to working with an organization that does have multiple leagues under their umbrella. Sometimes you're going to compete in terms of trying to get your stuff on time. Let's look at a couple transactions that have happened this week in the AF1. Are there any moves, Krish, that you thought were very impactful so far this week?
Yeah, a couple, that stood out to me. I think just pulling them up right now, actually. I think when you think about teams, so one of the this is a good opportunity for me to say this. Minnesota, they made a couple moves this week that were really surprising. My first message is, man, Steve Walters down in Minnesota, man. I advise you to pipe down a little bit, pipe down, homie. Keep my fucking name out your mouth, man. It ain't that deep. It was never that deep. Don't make
Let's not do that today, all right?
Don't make that more deep than it has to be. But no, you're always invited on, by the way. But even after, doing some things. Todd Simmons, man, everyone's favorite receiver. I know you predicted him to win MVP this year. So I think in the AAL, you said, yes, you did. You said that 2 months ago. I have screenshots of that message. But Todd Simmons, how many leagues? So a player like Todd Simmons I like Todd. I think he's a good person, but he's burning bridges. You can't keep signing the leagues and jumping. He got suspended. Minnesota signs Charles Reed, defensive back from Assumption. I really was hoping he would go back to Omaha. He's a really good DB. He led the Carolina Cobras in picks before they folded. Negron brought him up to Omaha. He never really settled in because they had a loaded DB room. But I would take Reed over Chris Perry at this point, honestly. So, I mean, he's a young, fast DB, physical. Jamonte Haynes coming off an ACL injury. That's still good. Jeremiah Zine, he's been around the block. He's played a lot of ball. Nick Evans, big move going to San Antonio, but he went to school in Texas at Midwestern State, so it makes sense. He went to Midwestern State to start his career before he transferred to, over there. So, and then Kearney, his step to Kearney, turned down an offer to sign with Northern Arizona. So he did not get suspended, so he can still go back to the IFL. I expect him to go back to Northern Arizona. But that's a guy they paid a sign-on bonus to. So another guy they're kind of clearing salary with. So interesting moves for sure.
A little piece of information I just got sent to me. Apparently last year that Triple S did not have a exclusive league agreement with the NAL, and that Goat Sports actually handled Beaumont's jerseys as well as Shreveport. Omaha also had some jerseys done by Goat as well. So they only did like 2 or 3 teams in the NAL last year. So that explains a lot on why the jersey delays happened for the AF1, but not the NAL. And that could explain a big reason why some of those delays were seen by one league but not the other.
No, but I do want to give Minnesota credit. That's another team I give a lot of crap to, and I still stand on business in certain aspects. But they're making some good roster moves. They're making up for the mistakes made by the previous regime, and I think, I like some of the moves that they're making for sure.
That's fair. Couple things I wanted to talk about on this list here. We'll get to in a minute. TJ, do you have any thoughts on these moves? I know you got to get out of here pretty quick.
Man, all I have to say is I don't think Todd Simmons is too worried about being on league suspension.
No, I don't think he is, because he seems to have interest every season, regardless of where he signs. So, kind of interesting to see exactly where he signed this season. So, it'll be interesting to kind of track how his year goes. But TJ, thanks for your time this morning, man. I appreciate you coming on. As always, we will see you next weekend. Enjoy your time with your kids. Sorry.
Yeah, man, one's enough. One's enough for me. But thanks, guys. See you guys next week. Have a good week.
Definitely talk to you later, buddy. Well, a little bit more information on this Todd Simmons situation, which we were going to discuss this in the AIF section and the AAL section anyway, so we might as well discuss it now. So Todd Simmons recently was listed as signing with the Wyoming Cavalry and the Wheeling Miners. Krish actually asked Todd on his Facebook page how that was allowed or how it was going to work. And essentially he broke it down like this. He's going to go play for the Wyoming Cavalry to begin the season. They start their season about a month and a half or so before the AAL does. So he's going to go play with the Wyoming Cavalry. Then when it's time for training camp to start for Wheeling, he's going to go and play with the Wheeling Miners. Todd was previously signed with the Wheeling Miners last season, and then ended up deciding to go to Vegas instead. So kind of surprising to see him back with Wheeling, but we'll see. I certainly think he could be one of the better receivers in the AAL. I'm just surprised that he opted to go that direction rather than stay in the AF1, which now he's suspended, so he doesn't have a choice anymore. Krish, where exactly do these screenshots exist that I said he would be the MVP?
I have to pull them up. They were from like maybe a while ago, but no. But I think Todd Simmons, man, like he needs to find a set team and ride with it for the whole season. He can't because he's a talented receiver. That's my thing. Like he was in the UFL for a reason. Even though he only lasted a couple of days, he still was there. So with high level ball player, he should. And he had offers, but when you go on Facebook and you start flexing all the offers you have, that just doesn't look legit. Like he should pick a team and sign with the team and ride with the team for the whole season. That's just my opinion.
I get the thought process. I think Todd's one of those guys that just wants to play as much football as possible, and I think last year kind of backfired on him. So I think he just wants to make sure he's guaranteeing himself that he will be able to play a full season. Which will be interesting, like I said. But interesting move, nonetheless, choosing to sign with the AIF and ultimately the AAL rather than staying in the AF1. We've heard and we've mentioned it on the show before, the AF1 appears to be pushing their season back to April anyway. So I'm not really sure if this was a situation where Nashville decided that they did not want him to go play in another league or how that all came about, but interesting decision nonetheless by Todd Simmons. And Krish, just to clarify, my only comment on Todd signing with the AL was only Todd would make that choice. That I didn't say anything else, nothing about him being MVP. Although I will say I do think he has a good chance of being one of the better receivers in that league. It's a 4-team league, so automatically you have a lot less players.
MVP in that league is going to be DeAndre Brown from Columbus, man. DeAndre Brown is going to be like playing with a bunch of kids in that league.
To be clear, I didn't say MVP. I said one of the better receivers in the league, just so we're all clear. But there are a lot of good players in the AAL, and I think a lot of people are going to be surprised this season So we'll kind of get back to all that here shortly when we discuss more AAL. Coach B, what are your thoughts overall on this partnership with the AF1, and then some of these moves that that recently happened to the AF1, and specifically with Minnesota?
Minnesota I really think Clark is shaping his roster how he want his roster to be. He's making it where he can coach guys that he feels fit his system with him and his other coordinators bringing in. So you're gonna see a lot of different moves. I'm just waiting to see a lot more signings. It's getting closer and closer to Christmas. You know, that's when the signings come in faster. People starting to try to have their team field. Uh, AF1, like I said, that's a great partnership. You can't beat that. It gives you some stability and it helps you with longevity if you can keep that going. I just want to see what the uniform's gonna look like.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. You know, with Under Armour coming in, I think it'll definitely change the look a little bit of each team. So we'll see if any teams take advantage of that and try to do a large upgrade of their uniforms. But a couple
How about
comments.
one real quick too piece of news, and I want to get to that too. But a Nashville defensive coordinator, new DC.
Who did they hire?
Sergio Gillum, baby, one of the best DBs in arena football at one point. That is a great hire. He knows the game. He played in KC for years. I know Sergio personally. It's a super hire. I was wondering when he was going to get a coaching job somewhere else.
I'm really happy for Coach Gillum. You know, he was our defensive coordinator in 2018 and 2023. He's one of the hardest workers. I mean, you know, even when I interned on staff, I mean, that guy, like, he stays after, comes in early. He does everything the right way. And so he's going to be surrounded by a bunch of vets on that Nashville defense. And in Nashville, I was looking at the roster the other day. I mean, that D line, man, Jaquan Artist coming back for the second year in the arena style. I really think this is the year with Tyler Coca on the offensive side, and they're going to score over 55 points a game. Like, I'm really confident in that. And if their defense can match it, I mean, their defense cost them the championship game last year. It really did. I mean, Tyler played an amazing game, but if they made one more stop, I really feel like they could have won that game. But that line, that DB room, everything in Nashville is looking up. So Sergio is going to have a lot.
You gotta realize who the head coach is, Coach Harbett. He got 1 year under his belt. Now he's back in the game. Remember, he was retired for a long time. And before he retired, I don't think only person who beat him in the AFL was Kevin Guy. He really never lost in the AFL style of play. So now you got him a year. They got added more people to the ownership and to the front office over in Nashville, which just gave him more fuel. Sabercats with him over there. You can't give a guy like Arbet time to develop and then get comfortable. And I think he got comfortable over there. And it might be the year that he goes over the top and becomes our bet that we known from past.
I think I might need to be a Nashville fan. I mean, they have both our coordinators from 2018 and 2023 on staff. That's pretty cool to me. So I'm glad I got a T-shirt in time to make a switch.
I thought you were a Michigan fan. What happened to
I
that?
am a Michigan fan, but my rule is I can claim up to 2 teams in the league. So
Yeah. I thought you were only able to claim one team, and it was the Orlando P-Rates. The one-eyed Orlando P-Rates. Any word on AF1 schedule release date? As of right now, I would anticipate not getting the schedule until like Christmas. I don't think that with the move back to April that AF1 is in a huge rush. And I think that they're really trying to make sure that everything's set in stone before they announce their schedule to ensure that there's not a ton of changes like there has been in previous years. So I think they're really trying to, as a whole, as a league, look a lot more professional in 2026. And I think so far they're hitting that bar and really even kind of exceeding it compared to years past. So hopefully they can continue this run where, you know, announcements are actually set in stone and they're going to happen, not situations where we have a lot of questions about each team, similar to last year where we had multiple teams not end up playing games. But that's pretty much all I've got for the AF1 this week. There really isn't a ton
Al-
of news coming out of the league. Go ahead,
Also,
Coach.
Sam, it's not smart to throw out a schedule and you haven't announced all your teams yet. I think they're gonna announce all their teams first and probably have a schedule release like after Christmas, in between that and in the New Year's, or right after the New Year's, give you a big splash with a schedule, something like that.
Absolutely. And actually, there is one piece of information that I had forgotten that we wanted to discuss today. That's this rumor that there was going to be a Biloxi, Mississippi team. Let me just squash that right now, real quick. That was not accurate. It was never accurate. It was actually a joke created by a couple people that tried to go back and tell people that it was incorrect, and people still ran with it. And that's the problem with arena and indoor football, that we have fans that are so invested that they'll take and run with whatever, sometimes not realizing that there was no truth to it in the first place. And it's an honest mistake. We're in a period of the time in indoor football where there's a lot of questions and not a lot of answers. But to my knowledge, there is not and will not be a Mississippi team in the AF1. There is still a team coming, to my knowledge, although I do not have an exact date on the announcement. I would expect it will be very, very soon, because it's already pushing way, way late in the process to be announcing teams. And I would agree with Coach B that we will not get a schedule until all the teams are announced. That's just common sense, of course. So we'll see exactly how things
Any idea
go.
or any idea or any area where this last team is gonna be announced at?
Yes. Yes. I think it's kind of been talked about a couple places publicly. I personally am not at liberty to say where exactly it'll be on here. I've been trusted with that information, so I'm going to go ahead and honor that trust until they're ready to announce. But a couple comments to deflect from that. That's good. Beaumont getting a new turf. If I remember watching, I think Oregon needs one too. Oregon could use some new turf, yes. By Brian. Hey, my joke about Mass going to Orlando and who their owners would be came true. Didn't it come from someone part of your team with that rumor? It was not a rumor. Once again, it was a joke that got taken incorrectly. And yes, it was from somebody on our team. Arena and indoor football history. My guy who's been writing on the website a lot, he made a joke in a Discord server that got taken out of context, and it went rampant, way more rampant than it needed to be. If you look, you can go back in that Discord server, and he actually even followed up and said that it was not accurate. So as far as that goes, yes, it did come from our team initially, although it was not intended to be a rumor. It was never true information. It was always a joke. I apologize on behalf of that individual. So Biloxi, who knows? No, it's not, again, not accurate. Huntsville, Mike Davis says. Southern team, Wookie says. Oregon needs a new place to play.
I heard the Huntsville. I've heard this from multiple sources at this point, so I can say it. They're in talks with Cy Burley to be the head coach of that new AF1 team that's going to be announced. So Cy Burley, 26-8, he's won 2 championships in the NAL. So I think that would be. I give Cy Burley a lot of crap as an indoor coach, but as an arena coach, it's still high.
How do you be getting all this information, bro?
We do a lot of networking, hence the name Shady Sports Network. We talk to everybody between everybody on this show. We try to cover every league, every team, and honestly,
I got some news about Dallas too.
Yeah,
the NAL section.
So on that note, I think we've basically covered all the pieces of information about the AF1 this week so far. Hopefully next week we have a team announcement to talk about, and then we can really dive into some of the information about the new team coming. Once again, this new team coming, I will say that I'm encouraged by what I know about them. I think that they're a really solid organization, and I'm very excited about them joining the AF1. I think it's another sign that the AF1 is moving the right direction, and I hope that I'm right. I hope all these teams that the AF1 has added continue to be stable and hopefully make it through this season and play all of their games as scheduled initially. So it clears up a lot of concerns about the league and ultimately arena football in general. But quick commercial break, then we'll come back with NAL and IFL information. There's really not a ton for either of those leagues, so we're kind of whittling it down to the last bits of information here today. So stick with us a couple more minutes, and we'll be right back. All right, we're nearing the end of the show today. A couple subjects from the AAL I'm going to gloss over fairly quickly. There isn't really a bunch to talk about with either of these moves, but O'Brien Goodson has been hired by the Mississippi Wolfpack as a defensive line and linebacker coach for the Wolfpack. I think this is a great hire. Local kid, has some ties to indoor and arena football. I think it's going to be a great move for Mississippi. I'm also excited to see Mississippi getting some more members of that staff. To my knowledge, it was basically Eddie Strong last year by himself, and they won a championship. So just imagine what he can do with a little bit more help and, some money to throw at players this year. So very excited about what that means for the AAL.
Didn't they hire another coach as well?
Not that I've seen, but I might have missed something. So I'm not aware of anything, but I will definitely go back and look and make sure I didn't miss something. Then also, as we discussed before, the Wheeling Miners have signed Todd Simmons, and it does sound like he is going to be playing the majority of the season with them this year. Again, as mentioned before, he had previously signed with them last season. It was kind of an interesting situation, if I remember correctly. He was currently signed to the Arlington Renegades last year, signed a contract with the Wheeling Miners, agreed to go to camp with another team in the TAL, and then signed with the Vegas Nighthawks as well later on. Ended up not playing for any of those three teams. Just kind of a bizarre situation for Todd last year. He finished out the year with the Jersey Bearcats in the AAL2. Now he will play the Bearcats with the Wheeling Miners. So interesting course of action by Todd in general the past 2 years. So kind of just fun following along with his journeys. A little piece of AIF information that we did not discuss earlier that I think is interesting to say the least, and we'll kind of spend a little bit of time on this one. Dom Montero was recently signed by the Wyoming Cavalry.
Hey, oh my God. Oh my God. That was the funniest thing I saw. I thought it was a prank, but they are serious.
It is serious? I'm glad you
Yes.
said that because I thought it was a prank as well.
No, it's not a prank. They're serious. Dom really thinks he still can play.
Interesting. How old is he? All right. It'll be interesting. Good for him. He's going to suit up for the Wyoming Cavalry. correct me if I'm wrong, Coach B, but you said they were splitting the team and like some of it was going to practice in Minnesota, correct?
Yeah, the defense and some of the guys from Minnesota is going to practice there, from what I got from a source, and the offense will practice in Wyoming, or wherever the head coach lives at.
Who's the head coach again?
You got me.
I'll have to look that back up. I know Cody Homadahl previously with the St. Paul Bears is the defensive coordinator, so it makes some sense that they would practice in Minnesota. But I do not recall who was hired as the head coach. So we'll get back to that next week. We'll discuss some more details as far as that goes. I'll do a little bit of research so we're not so in the dark about it. But
Are they adding any more teams to the league this year? I know it's about to start pretty soon, and it's like they don't care about adding a team or whenever they add one. So, have you heard anything?
not that I know of. And in fact, I think they kick off in January. I think they're the first team to kick off this season, or first league, sorry. And I think West Michigan is one of the teams that's going to be playing in January. So it's an interesting league. It's interesting the way it's assembled. Some of the teams are travel only. Some of the teams are not even really in the league. They're affiliated, but they play games. It's a unique approach. I'll say that much. So it's going to be a really interesting season to follow along with the AIF, because I think there's going to be a lot of questions here. And Caleb says, so Dom owns all the teams? No, actually. A couple of them were sold off. The Coralville Chaos were sold off. They became the North Michigan Muskies. To my knowledge, he sold off another team. Krish, maybe you can fill in some of the gaps here that I'm not familiar with.
He still owns. He just moved Coralville to North Michigan. He still owns North Michigan with the guy he works with, the gentleman who he does all his business with. He
Okay.
did. He sold Cedar Rapids outright.
Thank you. That's
Uh,
what it is.
yeah, he sold Cedar Rapids outright. I just don't understand why West Michigan don't leave that lead and go play in a stable league, somewhere with real competition, because they're gonna win it every year. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, as far as West Michigan goes, it seems like they have a desire to be a big fish in a small pond. And, it seems like that's their approach every year. And maybe it's partially because of the fact that there aren't a lot of teams around that area. So they kind of choose leagues based on, travel and stuff like that. But I think personally, I would be surprised if there isn't some consideration by them in future seasons to make the move, because I don't see what they're gaining in the AIF personally. But I don't say that to say that I think anything poorly about the AIF. I think despite the fact that I had very real concerns early on, it's, managed to sustain as a league. So, obviously they're doing something right so far.
And also, he sold off the Odessa Drillers. Remember, that was the other franchise. He sold that outright to someone else, and I don't think they're playing in the AIF.
Yeah, now they're in the CFA as like the Tyler Black Gold, or I can't remember
No, no, no,
exactly.
no, no, no. The Tyler team he sold off as well. That's to somebody else, and Odessa is owned by somebody else separately.
Sorry. Okay. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
mixing the
because remember
two.
he had Tyler as well. They had the Tyler team, and then the
Yeah,
Tyler team got sold off to somebody else, and they went to a different league. He had Odessa Drillers too. Remember they announced them a few months ago, but he sold that franchise as well.
one of them went to the CFA.
That's the Tyler team. He
Okay,
sold the Tyler team as well. He sold Cedar Rapids. He sold Tyler, and he sold Odessa.
gotcha.
Cedar Rapids is the only team that stayed in the AIF.
Is AIF a pro league? Yes, they are a pro league. This comment, however, similar is a stretch. Similar, yes. The same, absolutely not. No. The AAL is a lot different, just based on the way they were formed. But Let's transition over to the NAL. There's a little bit of information coming out of the NAL recently, and that is the news that Rodney Blackshear is apparently out as the head coach of the Dallas Bulls. If you've been paying attention, earlier this week, he put a post on his Facebook talking about the fact that if you have a gut feeling about somebody, you need to follow it. And then shortly thereafter, reports came out that he was no longer with the Bulls. So, Krish, I know you have a little bit of insight on this. What can you share with us without, obviously throwing anybody under the bus or burning any bridges?
No, so I think this is a reflection on the owner, Doc Hudson. Doc has had, I'll just say it, like, he has a lot of, I don't want to say he comes with a lot of baggage per se, but, people know who he is. And so I think this is not a good look for the Bulls as an org. This isn't. I mean, we know this is a new era of Dallas Bulls football, but to lose your head coach in December, and then the fact that they're conducting, full-time interviews and they're doing all these things, they're having long interviews, for example. You don't have time. It's December, and so Coach Blackshear doesn't get enough credit at all. He built a solid roster. If you go through, you look at the quarterback, you look at the linebacker, you look at the receiver room, they got pieces. So, I'm glad they're not going to go hire someone like Tyrone, who will go in there and sign a bunch of semi-pro guys. They're going to, they're in talks and most likely will be announcing on Monday that they will be hiring Robert Kent, former Jackson State quarterback, San Antonio Gunslingers, North Texas Bulls. He was a head coach of Duke City for part of the season. This guy's he's a good coach. He was our offensive coordinator, assistant OC, wide receivers coach, and QB coach in 2023 for us up here in Mass. And so I like Robert Kent. He's a quiet leader. He's someone, he doesn't say much. He's kind of, just put in the work. He's that type of coach. So will he be able to recruit, and how invested is he in this opportunity? Robert Kent, he trains, he coaches high school football, he does a lot of different things. He's also involved in basketball. So will he have his full energy with the Bulls? So all I want is, like, there's no excuse for that team not to make the playoffs. You're in the DFW. You got so much talent around you. You got to recruit the area. And I thought Rodney Blackshear, coach, did a great job at that. And so, I hope coach gets another opportunity if he wants it, maybe in the AF1, the style he knows and he played. But it's unfortunate all around.
I like bringing in, if it is Kent. I like that idea of them bringing in Kent. He knows the game. He's won a couple championships with the Revolution, with the North Texas Bulls. He's no stranger to arena. I know he had that offense on point and clicking, and he's a student of the game. He likes to study. He's gonna break down film. He's gonna make sure you got all the tools you need on offense. Whoever he brings in on defense, or if they keep the staff that was already there, that's gonna be the key. And like you said, recruiting. I like some of the cats they signed on that roster, but they do need to bring in some guys that can help just go over the top with that roster. But I think, like Chris said, and I don't know if you feel the same way, Sam, but I think they could actually make the playoffs, and if they have the right pieces in place, they got a good schedule. If you pull up their schedule, like, only people they got to worry about is Colorado, Omaha, probably Pueblo. Everybody else they can actually run the table on if they put the right people in place.
Southwest, Salina.
Well, they don't play Salina.
They play Southwest one
They
time.
play Southwest, but I think I think they can get Southwest if you got the right people in place.
Yeah, it's going to come down. I agree, Coach. It's going to come down to trenches. How you are in the line, D line. If on my message to any coach coming in there, if it's Robert Kent, man, he better keep Dante Santos at quarterback. I've been on Dante Santos all offseason. Dante Santos can win Rookie of the Year in this league. I promise you. 119 touchdowns, 25 interceptions, 4 years of college with a 68% completion percentage. He's elite. 12 yards per attempt. That's a guy you want in your system. Over, 2,000 rushing yards. D3 Heisman finalist, runner-up. Like this guy is the real deal. So he's fresh. He's only 24. Like develop him in your system. Don't go out and sign someone who's already washed up or a
I
vet.
like that. I like that kid too. I got a chance to watch film on him. Chris sent me some film because Chris was talking highly of him. Man, he's special. If he get and you got Robert Kent, who's a quarterback who played in the game at a high level, so who can help him develop. It might be something down there. But you also going to have to bring in a quarterback in there to help him compete. Probably a veteran or somebody who knows the game and give them some sense of urgency and help them with game management and all that.
Yeah, Coach McGowan should try to trade for him. Try to get him up in Omaha. I mean, every team should. Honestly, if it's Southwest too. Learn from Struck. Every team could benefit from having Dante Santos in your QB room for sure.
Quick comment here. A flexion of the NAL as far as the Dallas Bulls move. I don't think we can say that this year because NAL has taken a more measured approach to expansion this year as well. Honestly, I'm just going to come out and say it, and this might not be a popular opinion, but that's okay. I'm used to being wrong. I think that every league or every of the three major leagues have taken a much more stable approach to expansion this season. The AF1, the IFL, the NAL, all three of them seem to have a much more stable base this season than they have in previous years. And I think that's good for indoor football fans in general, right? We don't want teams to fold every week. We don't want, we don't want the bad press anymore. It'd be nice to have some good press, in terms of teams and leagues garnering attention for the right reasons, which is exciting plays and stuff like that, not necessarily teams folding and fights on the field and stuff like that. So
I will say, I feel like all around, if you look at the NAL and AF1, I think the NAL top to bottom is more competitive. I think in the AF1, we know it's going to be Kentucky, Nashville, or Albany. One of those three teams to win a championship. In the NAL, I seriously don't know. I've been doing a ton of research, but man, I look at the NAL and I think about who has the best receiving core. I was talking about that earlier. Colorado, of course. Bissett, Steven Newbold, Alexis Rosario. We should talk about that. What the impact of Alexis Rosario switching from running back to receiver for Colorado this year? How do you think that's going to impact their offense?
It'll be helpful for sure, but I think a player like that, you're going to use him all over the field anyway if he can do it. So I don't really think that it's going to be as impactful as some people might think, but we'll see.
I like Colorado. The question always is the same question I have with Hot Springs. Is he's going to get somebody to help him on his staff? And if he does, then the sky's the limit with them. They're going to be a force to reckon with. But it's going to be hard trying to manage that whole team by itself and compete at a high level week in, week out. Uh, I do like what you said, how all leagues are vetting. Do you? This is a question to both of you guys. Do you actually think that every team is going to finish the season in each league each three major leagues?
AF1, I don't think every team will. I see your comment, Brian. I'm gonna make that list. Don't worry. But no, I do think there will definitely be a team or two that will fold in the AF1 and the NAL. Maybe Dallas is my only concern, but if they can get a swift result with them, that would be great. I think NAL will be fine. I think. I'm not. Dallas is my only whatever.
I think every team will make it through the season. And my guess, if any team do have problems this year, Ricky and them are in the lead is set up where they will help out that team and make it through. I think every team they did it
Hi,
where every
Chris.
team can make it through. So
I don't think Ricky. I don't think the thing is I don't Ricky doesn't own the league. You know what I mean? So I don't want to speak for him. I don't think he'll step in and help.
I know he has a voice to the league,
Sure.
and he will the league just period. The league as a whole, Brandon Eicher, all them, it's not going to let no team fold this season. I think they're going to help make this successful season for the league.
Yeah,
So I'm not worried about the NAL. I'm not worried about the IFL. AF1, I do have some worries, but you know, the last 2 or 3 years we had worries with the AFL. So it's just that's how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
I
But
mean,
I
I
shout out to
agree.
Goat Sports, man. Brandon Eichert and them. The uniforms look fire from the jerseys that they put up. I just hope the pants is just as fire. I think we need to add some spice to some of the pants and don't be plain in the leagues.
No, I agree with you, coach. And one thing I do want to bring up, like, I'm so high on Colorado because of their receiving core, right? Like, I think it's the best in the league by far. And so, but every team, I mean, Sioux City, Carlos Thompson, Ed Crouch, like, you go down the list. I mean, look at the young defensive pieces they got in Southwest. Josiah Silver, great D lineman from UNH, Shaquez Bond, Draco. Like, that defense is looking nice in Southwest.
I don't think
Honestly,
Drake with Jerko's injury, I don't think he'll make it back in time for the season.
true, but I could see him still coming back week 2, week 3. And my thing is, coach, is like that defense. Honestly, this might be one of those years where Coach Thomas has a better defense than he does offense. So
we shall see. Another piece of NAL information. Sintel Williams, who recently signed with Pueblo, signed with San Antonio. Another NAL player poached by San Antonio. They seem to be getting a lot of them this year. So that's another piece of information out there that has kind of flown under the radar. He literally just signed with Pueblo. I think we talked about his signing last week, and now he's signed with San Antonio. So that seems to be more and more common this year. San Antonio picking off players from other teams. Kind of transitioning a little bit over to the IFL. Daquan Dudley was released by Quad City. Cortez Eatman suspended by Tucson. He obviously signed with Michigan earlier this offseason, so he will be playing in the AF1 this year. A couple other moves. Massachusetts brought back a lot of different key players.
Orlando.
Or sorry, you're right, Orlando. The Pirates brought back multiple key players. Talio Tagovailoa, Michael Mason, Destin Mack, Jaquez Bristol, all were signed with the team. Also, the Sharks have sent 2 players to the CFL. Jarvey Davis and Marcus Rogers have signed with CFL teams as well. So a little bit of information out of the IFL, not a ton this week. And then there was also a piece of NAL information that we actually missed last week or 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. And that was the partnership with Snaps Clothing. So I'm actually not really familiar with Snaps Clothing. So maybe some people can kind of give us a little bit of details
Not
in the
either. I was
chat.
gonna ask you guys to give me some insight on that. I thought that would it looked like from the article it's a great deal, but I don't know more about them. I need to find out more about Snap.
Basically, just to read the announcement by the league, the National Arena League has announced a partnership with Snaps Closing. Actually, let me pull it up real quick so you guys can read along, just in case you don't want to hear me. Looks like they were founded in Dallas, so I wonder if the Bulls had some part in this, but has announced a licensing agreement with Snaps Clothing Company beginning with the 2026 season. The partnership brings Snaps high-quality apparel and lifestyle pieces to the NAL and its member organizations, offering fans and teams an elevated new way to represent the league. Founded in Dallas, Texas in 2021, Snaps Clothing Company has become a rising force in the collegiate and lifestyle apparel market. The company maintains official collegiate licensing agreements with top programs including Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Nebraska, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and TCU, among others, which solidifies their reputation for quality and authenticity. Wow, I'm struggling today. Snaps Clothing is best known for its modern take on the classic pearl snap shirt, combining the timeless Western silhouette with proprietary performance fabrics that deliver breathability, stretch, and all-day comfort. The brand's focus on premium materials and tailored construction has positioned it at the intersection of performance wear and refined casual style. The collection will be available through the NAL shop and future NAL retail platforms. So once again, the NAL this year is so on top of it with the merchandise game that every week it seems there's something else coming out, allowing them to further flood the market with more National Arena League merchandise, which I think is a good thing for the league and its teams, especially if this money all funnels back to the teams at the end of the day. Only further, makes them more sustainable. Couple comments I wanted to run through, and then we'll get you guys' thoughts on all of the stuff I just said. I know it's a lot. You can tell all the leagues made positive changes this year. That's exactly how I feel. AF1 is only signing teams once they get arena leases now, preventing a lot of the issues they had last year. NAL set a hard cap and focused on a centralized map, which I think will benefit them well longevity-wise. Awaiting Krish's list of teams that will not complete the season. So from Brian. Beaumont going to have a good team. I think more parity than you think in the AF1. We shall see. And then this comment specifically for Krish, long live Brucey. We'll see if he gets another opportunity somewhere else in 2026, because it does not appear it will be with the Pirates.
Sam, you didn't get to answer my question. I asked, out of the three leagues, the three major leagues, do you feel there's any team that won't finish the season? And I know I have one. I think I'm scared. I'm skeptical of Beaumont and another other AF1 team.
Yeah, I've got some questions about a couple AF1 teams. Primarily, my concerns are with Oceanside. I don't know enough about them to be confident, although I keep
And
hearing.
I heard they don't have an arena lease, and that's what I've been hearing. I don't know if you guys heard that, but okay.
I actually heard otherwise. I heard they have a lease in place. I actually heard they had their lease in place before San Diego had agreed to renew their lease for 2026. Don't know
I
if it's
heard
accurate,
I
but
heard
that's
that
what
too, but then I've been hearing they don't have an arena lease right now. So I don't know what it is. But like you said, they said AFL wouldn't announce you unless you had an arena lease.
Yeah, and that's one reason I'm leaning more towards them having a lease in place. I also think that some of the confusion behind the scenes with Oceanside and San Diego, I think, has created some bias on either side that is clouding some of the information coming out. So who knows, really? At the end of the day, like I said, I just don't know enough about the organization. I don't have any inside information about them in general to know if they're going to make it. All I know about them right now is that they're trying to stay very local, which I think is obviously cost effective. So hopefully that's something that helps them out.
I'm gonna want you to buy because that's our other co-host, guys. Don't mind him.
Sorry, apparently I have to go buy some watermelon after this. So it was really important that I heard that right now. I also think that Beaumont, I have some questions about. There was some concerns about them financially at the end of the season. I think they'll figure it out, though. Oregon concerns me a little bit because I've heard that Chuck Jones is the primary owner now. I just don't know where the financial backing is going to come from.
Yeah, I heard Chuck
want
is the
them to
primary owner
succeed.
too.
I
Heard he bought out or buying out his partner, so he's becoming the primary owner. Uh, but with Beaumont, if they had money trouble last year and they haven't brought in a money guy this year, and they salary from what the signings of people I've been talking to saying that what they're getting paid by Beaumont is insane, and I don't think if they didn't have money like that to really make it through the NAL all the way, they just made it by. How are you signing all these players for these big deals in the AF1?
That's my concern as well, and I'm really kind of. We'll see how things go, but we'll see how things go. So apparently some information about the AIF as well is Dom Montero owns Wyoming. Richard Rogers owned the Tyler Crude. I don't know if he still owns them. So just some thoughts there to throw in there. Man. Alexa, add watermelon to my list. Yes, exactly. Oceanside is staying very local. I haven't seen them on any of the podcasts, which is kind of weird. If you were launching a team, you'd think you'd try to promote it anywhere you could. But
I heard they hired a media team that does all their media for them. That's who they have handle that. But I have talked to some people within the organization, and their goal is for the everybody to be local. They want their coaching staff and majority of their players to be local. That way, they ain't got to worry about housing.
Good way to save on cost in year one for the team.
That
So
team is gonna get destroyed if they have Rudy Johnson at quarterback. I said that before too. Like that dude is not fit the arena style. He's gonna get murdered.
no, he's more of an IFL style quarterback, NAL style quarterback, but at the same time, he may not end up the day one starter at quarterback too. That's something that we need to
But
consider.
they said he's a franchise quarterback. Quarterback one. He's QB1.
They can say whatever they want. Was it the coach that said it?
They said on it. I'll shave my head if he doesn't start week one.
Dude, you got to find something else to bet.
And
We're not just going to shave your head every week because
I'm just saying,
then
like,
at that point, it
because I won't
loses
have to
the-
because I'll be right, but
you're going to have to burn your pirate shirt on camera or something.
There was a
We'll have
question
to
in the
find something else.
comment. Mod said, "How is Oceanside and San Diego gonna play? They might have different days. You heard it's gonna be Sunday night football in the IFL and all that. So San Diego might get a lot of those Sunday night games. You never know."
I actually addressed this last week on the show. If you want to go back and get a little bit more detailed breakdown, but if you look at the way that San Diego's schedule is laid out, and you also consider that fact with the fact that apparently the AF1 is starting in April this year, a lot of those games line up to where both teams could exist in the same arena due to scheduling, so they wouldn't necessarily overlap a lot. I spoke with Beaumont ownership. They're not having money problems. They're actually building an apartment complex for the team. Sponsorship is solid. They are struggling with buy-ins in the seats, butts in
I
the
guess
seats.
getting butts in the seats. I guess. Well, that's
Yeah.
a big problem to have because you're gonna spend more money. You're gonna spend more money paying for housing, and if they building a complex, it's not gonna be ready before the season.
I hope that Beaumont does not have the money issues, but I've heard it from so many people on in so many different angles that it's hard to just wipe it away like it never happened.
And just the payroll alone that we've been hearing about is insane. Like we talk about Minnesota, Beaumont been doing the same thing.
Yeah. Ahmad, sorry, buddy. We're not going to circle back to the IAL. We already discussed that earlier on in the show. If you'd like to hear that segment, I recommend starting the show over from the beginning. We've already been on for 2.5 hours, so I'm no offense or anything. I'm not going to circle back to information we already discussed. Rudy is apparently the franchise quarterback, or at least that's how they're promoting it.
I told you, man.
And that's fine. That's fine. Again, guys, I don't care what they say publicly until the coach goes in day one and realizes, hey, Rudy's not a quarterback. Things change quick.
Well, Cree is the QB whisper. So they say it. So he's going to turn Rudy into the franchise. And if you go to all their socials, he's sitting in all the big meetings. He's doing helping make decisions with the team and all that. That's who they relying on.
Okay. I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's going to find out the hard way if he tries to start Rudy Johnson in arena football. He's just not. He needs to be able to utilize his legs. So maybe they run an indoor offense and he's, running out of the shotgun like, Southwest Kansas and Salina did early last year. But I don't see a scenario where Rudy Johnson is used as a traditional arena football pocket passer.
They gonna do exactly how Southwest and Salina did.
Probably. And if they do that, then I can see a scenario where Rudy Johnson can get them in the playoffs. And I don't think that's a huge stretch to say that because
that is a huge stretch. I don't care if they go to that style. Man, no way they get in the playoffs. No way.
I disagree personally. Everybody wants to make all these qualms about, they're staying local, California. They have huge talent.
It's got great talent. Well, do they got arena talent? Who knows the arena game? That's different. Some people can quickly correlate to IFL style because it's outdoors, almost indoors. But coming to arena, it's not that easy to just translate over. And not only that, like if you rely on him to use his feet, and he can't throw, so if you rely on him to use his feet all season, and you saying they're going to make the playoffs, you got another thing coming. That means it's going to be some horrible defenses in the league.
We'll see. Last season I heard the same things about, multiple teams. Oh, Southwest Kansas can't be a playoff team in this league. They don't have the budget for it. They play an indoor style offense. 2 years in a row, they've been a playoff team. Salina, same thing. They played an indoor style offense. They didn't really have the budget for it, all that stuff.
And
They
they've
went and
been
played.
first round exits 2 years in a row too, right?
Salina was in the championship last year in
I'm talking
2024.
about Southwest.
Yeah, okay. And that was with a team. First of all, the coach had never coached indoor football before. First of all, which that's not the case in Oceanside. Second of all, on top of things, it's totally different league. So I mean, in AFL in 2024 was a totally different league than it is now, and same thing with 2025. So all I'm saying is I could see a scenario where they make the playoffs. And go ahead, clip this, save it, write it down. I'm not going to shave my head. It's already super short anyway. So just saying, there's a possibility it could happen. Everybody's immediately writing them off because they've got local talent and all this stuff. But it's been done before. It wouldn't be unprecedented for a team that's, a first-year team make a playoffs or make a championship run. So we'll see. We'll see. According to Mike Davis, they still need to buy turf equipment, get a new logo and uniforms. We'll see about that. Butts in the seats is for all AFL, all teams in general. They need to focus on it. And yes,
except Clarksville, that thing gonna be packed out every week as we sing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some exceptions. Obviously, Clarksville, Omaha's always well attended. Tulsa, but I think in general, the sport as a whole could use better attendance across the board. And I don't think any team would really argue with that. Honestly, I think they'd all welcome more fans at their games. Yes, D, we talked about NAL earlier. Which team does Coach B like in the NAL? You're muted, Coach. I think he might be biased.
Why you gonna put me on Front Street like that, B? I'm actually up in the air with it. I like Omaha. I like Colorado. Colorado got something special over there, man. You can't count y'all out in Salina or Southwest over there. But I like the Dallas Bulls too. If they get the right, if they got Kent, you can't count Kent out. He's a championship coach. Well, a championship player, so it's gonna correlate to him coaching. I take that back.
Interesting question here. Wonder if it would help to not stream the games. Local people were required to go to games. Nashville actually tried that in 2024. I think at the beginning of the season, they had a radio broadcast, but not a TV broadcast, if I remember correctly. And I don't know that it helped or hurt. I honestly think that they need to be able to promote all options. Make the game as accessible as possible for fans. Don't worry about them attending games. If you can get them to realize the excitement of the league in general, I think they'll eventually show up. Do you feel by these leagues pushing more streaming options that it's going to continue to make in-person attendance harder? This is a huge question.
Yes.
I also think this question has so many layers. It's hard to even really look at it overall, because you have to figure that we're in a day and age where internet in general is preventing more and more in-person events. So I think that over time, these leagues and teams are going to have to adapt to that for sure. So will it make it harder? Probably. Will it make it more accessible for fans to watch game? Probably. So it's kind of a give and take. Caleb, Southwest Kansas in the NAL championship run. We'll see. D-Wash, I'm sure we'll love to hear that.
That will only happen. They need to add another big play receiver on the other side of D-Wash, and they need to I see. I love this comment, but they need to add more. They need another running back. They don't have a running back.
Yeah, I think I'm with Caleb on this. I think we need to stop so much streaming because the teams ain't really getting paid for the streaming unless you got so many views. And I do think it kind of takes away from you getting out into the market, getting out into your actual local area, your fan base, and getting to know your community. So get out there more and market yourself more, spend more dollars on spend more money on marketing, then you will get people in the stands if you put yourself out there too. I don't think we do a lot of community engagement with enough teams either to get awareness. Like you said, a lot of people don't even know about arena football in some places and have been there for a long time. So we got to start putting money away for marketing too. That goes with ownerships. Like you got to have a marketing budget. You got to have a street team budget.
A couple interesting comments here, and they're rolling in, so we appreciate everybody tuning in and commenting. You need streaming to introduce the sport to the common sports fan. Then you can convert those fans into attending games. It takes time. That's my exact thought on this. And then also, when you add in this comment, it makes a lot more sense. Once you go to a live game, you know that any TV product is subpar to the real experience. Brian Shoemaker, this is a great idea. I wish somehow a season ticket package would come with a free streaming subscription plan. If you put every league behind a paywall and then made it to where you get a free streaming subscription with season ticket purchases, might be a way to promote more attendance. That's not the worst idea in the world.
I like that idea though. I actually like that one.
I agree. Oh, here's a really good comment we'll get to in just a sec. Because fans in Colorado are not going to make money for Nashville. Well, that's the problem. And I think this comment we'll get back to in just a second. I have a lot of thoughts about that. Put your players out there to help market. Yes. Put them in every school in town. Put them in every high school, elementary school, college. Have them go to every local event, state fair, all of it. You should be having coaches or players attend all of it. Coach O'Neill tuning in says, Coach B picked 4 teams in the 9-team league. Pick one NAL team you like. Man, you've really been put on the spot. You got Coach O with Salina. You got D-Wash with Southwest Kansas. Ricky's probably still out here somewhere. You're going to have to pick one, Coach.
Hey, Coach O, you know I love you. You my guy. Same alma mater, everything. But I can't, man. Not right now. Give me a couple more weeks. Let the roster fill up a little bit more. Then I'll give y'all my pick. UD, Wash, all y'all. I'll give y'all my pick.
I will say, Coach O, if you start Aaron Aiken over Evan Lewandowski, I will not watch a single Salina Liberty game this year.
Wow, that's a bit much. But anyway, we're nearing the point where we should probably wrap this up. But there's one comment that I really wanted to dive into a little bit, because fans in Colorado not going to make money for Nashville. I think this is a short-sighted comment, and I don't mean that as a bad way, Caleb. You have to look at the bigger picture. If you want national money coming in, you have to have the streaming deals, right? And in order for them to actually produce any sort of actual monetary value, it's going to take a situation where these leagues start to prioritize the ownership of their content. So I know the NAL has already kind of talked about this. The IFL already did it last year with the IFL network. You either need a paywall or you need national sponsors. And I think national sponsors are really the way that you can create streaming or financial pathways through your streaming, and it can affect and help every team. But in order to do that, you have to have, in my opinion, a league-based sales rep, not just each team going out there and trying to sell sponsorships. You need somebody with the league itself trying to specifically focus on national sponsorships for the league in general. And then once you get to a point where the league is operational without any sort of outside income coming in other than the sponsorships that individual has created, then you can get to a point where you can start creating kickbacks to teams. And then I think that's when you see, arena football get to a point where it's really sustainable. Because if a team can go into a league, pay their entrance fee, and then eventually get that money back over time, I think that's the winning formula for everybody involved. Now, if we can make that happen anytime soon, I don't know. But I think these leagues and teams need to be more willing to take what I call micro partnerships. You need to be willing to take any amount of money you can get, basically. And I know obviously there's limits to that, but I think there's taking micro sponsorships and building up to something bigger is a way to bring in money, even if it's not a lot. So we'll see how things go over the next couple of years. But couple more comments. Coach B chooses Carolina for now. Let us know your thoughts in the chat. As always, I don't have a professional arena team in Carolina now. I'm still spending money on merch for teams that merch I like. You got the Predators. Support the Predators. Hit the like button. And then also, I think the focus should be on diverse social media content with the leagues and teams. That's the most underpriced and attainable attention out there. It just takes effort and creativity. Yeah, and I would say any team out there that looking for a little bit of input on those social media pathways, you should definitely hit up Trey because he's got some great content. And if you look across his social medias, they are very entertaining and they are very, very packed with content. So strongly recommend if any team is having trouble in that avenue, talk to Trey.
And I will say, like, when we upgraded our social media, bringing back Lobo, like, it really did, I feel like, did a lot for us as a brand. We grew in followers and everything. And I think, I think if you have a good social media person, it's a big deal.
Yeah, actually, to that note, I think the Massachusetts Pirates are one of the only teams in the IFL that have a monetized YouTube channel. They're over at 1,000 subscribers themselves.
Orlando.
Sorry, Orlando. You're right. Sorry, I keep doing that. Eventually, I'll get over it. It's kind of like Oakland, I called the Raiders Oakland for years after they moved. So,
speaking about the Pirates, I know that we've been on for a while, but I still need to get y'all's thoughts on like quarterback signing. You didn't even talk about that. I want to get your thoughts on that.
I would like to go first on that. I do not like that signing. I know it's it's for namesake and put butts in the seat. You got Tua in Miami, now you got Tua in Orlando. It's you know what I mean. It's sales. It's a marketing standpoint, but I don't think he really surprised me or made me say, "Wow, this guy's gonna be a great quarterback in the IFL." So I don't like the move.
That's an interesting point that I had not considered. Both Tagovailoa brothers are in Florida right now, so that's kind of interesting. I think it's a good move. I don't think it's the only move, right? So I think you have to bring in another quarterback that you think has some chance of starting. And the reason I say that is because he only played a couple games last year, right? He didn't go out and get a ton of experience, so we really don't know what he is, at the IFL level yet. Now, I think that he's got all the tools to be a very successful quarterback. I think he's going to be surrounded by a really good staff, and I think he's going to be put in every position to find success this season. But having depth at that position is key for Massachusetts. Orlando in 2026. And I think that's something that's really going to benefit them if they bring in somebody who's got a little bit more indoor experience as the backup there. Kind of like they did last year. It took a while, but once they brought in Felix Harper, I felt a little bit better about their quarterback situation.
No, just call him One-Eye Pirate. That's how you'll remember. You ain't even got to call him Orlando or Mash. Just say the One-Eye Pirate.
There we go. The One-Eye Pirate. So yeah, Krish, what are your thoughts? Are you happy?
Yeah. Look, obviously Jawad has preached since he, acquired the team is that we'll always have two quarterback ones here in Orlando. So it's a big deal, right? Like we'll always bring in competition. I don't feel comfortable, I'll be honest, I don't feel comfortable handing the keys over completely to him. He needs to come in, he needs to prove it, and he needs to put the work in. That's number one thing. Like he needs to put a lot of effort in, body language, everything. Sometimes with Kenji, quite honestly, that wasn't there. The body language portion wasn't there on the field. So we need that a little bit. We need more communication from our QB room as a whole. And quarterback is our biggest need in the offseason. That's what I've been saying. I've been preaching. Like, we need to find a good quarterback. So we signed him. I'm hoping we sign someone else to compete with him. But I'm hoping that he comes in ready to go. Because, honestly, I don't want to hear, and I've said this before, I don't want to hear he's a rookie. He's a rookie. Jaden DeLore was a rookie. And he came in and threw 41 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So don't tell me he's a rookie. There's no excuse. You get it now, or you don't get it. You get it now, or you get lost. That's how it has to be. This is we're one of the most respectable organizations in the country, and we need to hold our quarterback to that standard as well. So I'm excited. He has a great receiving score. We got Theo Redding coming back, Naquan Murray. You look at defense with George putting together, like he has all the pieces he needs to be successful. So if he can't be successful here, his football career is over. That's how that will be.
I don't know about over. There's probably other teams that will sign him, but no, I think what you said is on point. I almost did it again. Damn it. The Pirates have a higher standard than most teams when it comes to their quarterback position in general, because they don't sign guys that are true rookies. You're not going to find a guy who's fresh out of college on the Pirates roster, a quarterback. Generally, they're going to have spent a minute in the NFL, the UFL, whatever. In Talio's case, it was the ELF and the CFL. But this is a guy who played in a CFL game in 2024 and then came into the Massachusetts organization last season and then now has followed them to Orlando now. So I think it's a situation where I think this is a smart move, but like I said, you definitely need to bring in somebody who's got a little bit more indoor experience just to kind of hedge your bets a little bit. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a guy that has to be a starter. It just has to be somebody that you can bring in that you feel comfortable starting a couple games if needed. They've done it in the past where they've had a veteran start before putting in a guy who's a indoor rookie, quote unquote. So it wouldn't take spread.
And the issue is, man, I'll be honest too. I went back, I watched the film on him. The last game he started, his footwork, that we need that improved. Next season. I mean, he came in a little out of shape, I'll be honest, and his footwork, his field vision, also like he locks in on one receiver, and that one receiver is Dante Demas, his roommate in college and teammate at Maryland. So you see that familiarity there. He's always looking to throw the ball to Dante Demas. If Dante Demas is not on the team or open, Dante Demas last year, I love Dante Demas, nicest guy ever. But the issue is he was not fully ready last year to play ball. And so he had trouble with separation. Now you have receivers that can get separation. You know what Naquan Murray can do. Naquan Murray's in the gym 7 days a week. Like, he is going to come in ready to play in his home city, big deal. Theo Redding, same thing. So there just needs to be a little quicker translation there, in my opinion. That's all.
Agree. I will say that, comparing, how do I want to word this? Okay, Krish, you're a big fan of saying you can't compare two things all the time. So you mentioned that you can't compare the situation with, or you can compare the situation with the Pirates quarterback situation and Jaden Delores' success as a rookie with the Vegas team. But I don't personally think you can compare the two situations. And I mean this as no knock on the Pirates coaching staff, but Curtis Chin is the best IFL coordinator when it comes to offense.
Yeah, the best in the country. 100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're bringing in a rookie quarterback into that system, and you allowed him to learn most of the season before he took over. So I think the way they handled that situation was masterful. And I think on another team, it probably would have been mishandled, if I'm being honest. So I think that Curtis Chin and Mike Davis got that right. And I think that's the exception to the rule, not the rule, right? So I think most teams would probably have suffered through the exact same situation that the Pirates found themselves in last year.
I will say Jaden's ability to stand in the pocket, he never forces himself out of the pocket, only when he needs to. He stands in the pocket and he can make all the reads and all the throws he needs to make. And his arm, not strength, arm talent, there's two different things. His arm talent is second to none in this entire league. 100%.
True. I would agree with that. He's probably one of the most talented passers in the league, and we're going to find out how talented he is this upcoming season. Circle back a little bit. Carolina does have two teams in 2026. I forgot that. Carolina Aviators and Carolina Predators. The Aviators, I believe, are run by Barry Morrow. Pretty well-respected individual in indoor and arena football. Honestly, teams really need to focus to let people outside of diehards know that arena football exists. The biggest problems I have is there's always no structure for the long run. I have a problem with this comment because there is a structure for the long run. The problem is it's on a team by team basis and on a league basis. Every team, every individual situation is different. And I think a lot of fans seem to forget that these are individual owned teams. So a lot of owners set themselves up for failure, and then it's pinned on that league as if it's their fault. And don't get me wrong, to a certain extent, there is some fault with the league in those situations. But I think we need to remember that not always is it the league's fault, and that they have an eye on long term. But some of these ownership groups do not. They play it on a year by year basis. It still gets on my nerves that the Pirates left Massachusetts for Orlando when they haven't marketed the Pirates during their time in Massachusetts. I really wish IFL would revive the Predators instead. Yeah, and again, that's not really their decision. The IFL does not own these teams. They're individually owned. So Jawad determined that he wanted to go down there, and that was that. So Caleb asks the most important question of the day, and this is exactly where we're going to end this episode. Where is Lane Kiffin going?
LSU.
Okay, well, Krish was really prepared for that question. Coach B, you want to weigh in on this one before we get out of here for the day?
LSU.
I actually think he might stay in Ole Miss.
Really?
I heard late last night he has a $120 million offer on the table. LSU was only like $90 million.
But you get a chance for the school you went to give a counter offer, but then LSU gonna come back with a counter offer.
Yeah, and that might be the case, and maybe I'm wrong, but
there's also a theory out there that Kalen DeBoer, leaves Alabama and goes to Penn State, depending on how tonight goes in the Iron Bowl, and Lane Kiffin goes to Alabama because that was his dream job. But for me, I think LSU, man. You have all the resources. Another thing is he brings he's best friends with Coach Ed Orgeron. So you bring him back on staff, you automatically have a leverage in recruiting that you already don't have at Ole Miss. So I just feel LSU is the best opportunity for him to win a national championship.
Certainly wouldn't surprise me either way. Obviously it's been a really interesting offseason with the college sports as well. A lot of coaching changes recently, so will be lots of fun to follow along with this year. As always, if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you hit the like button. If you haven't done so, jump over to the YouTube channel, both of them, both Shady Sports Network and Shady Sports Live Events. Subscribe to both of those. As I mentioned before, we have the Mountain West Conference Volleyball Championship for women later on today. Then we also have Bus Stop coming up right here on Shady Sports Network in about 30 minutes. They discuss all things football, sports, and music. So if you are an aspiring artist who happens to be listening to this and you want to get your music on a platform for free, all you have to do is come join us for an episode. Feel free to reach out to any one of us here at Shady Sports Network. We can get you in connection with LaCedric and or Jordan to get you on that show. And then, as always, really appreciate everybody who tuned in and commented today. We really appreciate all of the input, all the comments, all of that stuff. D-Wash, thank you guys. I'm going to go back to watch to see where Coach B got us making it in the NAL. We'll make it past first round. Mark my words. Don't laugh, Coach B. You guys rock. Thank you, Texas Pete. Really appreciate your support as always. Also, jump over to brandingblanks.com. Check out all the Shady Sports Network merchandise. Get yourself a sticker. Like I said, they're only $1. No shipping charges included. I will send them to your house for free. On that note, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. And really excited for this season. Lots more to come this offseason. And it's because of you guys, this show has continued. So if you want to see more episodes, continue to hit that like button, share this out with your friends, and help us.
Yo, what's good? Cedric the bus driver here. I don't know about you guys, but I know what I will be doing every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Thursday nights too. I'll be over at Shady Sports Network, so catch up with me. Holla at your boy.